Chapter 41-41. The Void Dragon Sky Raising Break was a dragon origin martial technique, and Kang Shinmu had already comprehended it to the heaven grade. Now that he had used it, taking advantage of the fact that the other party's attention was still on killing him, Jiang Shenwu's dragon martial skill immediately achieved an excellent result. The pitch-black dragon cannon shot out from the mouth of the divine dragon phantom instantly bombarded the bodies of 3 of the dragon warriors, completely enveloping them. The 3 dragon martial artists couldn't withstand Kang Shinmu's attack at all. Under the attack of the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break, they were instantly killed. Their entire divine dragon bodies turned into charcoal and fell into the forest below. This scene made the young master of Snow Demon City and the others' expressions change. Although the dead were all at the 9th level of the divine martial arts realm, the young master of Snow Demon City and the others had not been able to kill Kang Shinmu. On the contrary, Kang Shinmu was not injured at all. This made the young master of Snow Demon City a little afraid of Kang Shinmu's strength. Therefore, the young master of Snow Demon City waved his hand and ordered his remaining subordinates to use their strongest means to deal with Kang Shinmu. Kang Shinmu didn't stop at all. The extreme shadow flowing light instantly erupted, and his entire black dragon body scurried to the side. He used the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break against 2 of the divine dragons. The Void Dragon Sky Raising Break was a little slow unless it was comprehended to the heaven grade. The main thing was that the speed at which the Void Dragon was condensed determined the speed at which the dragon martial technique could be used. Therefore, when Kang Shinmu used it again, his opponents unexpectedly discovered it in advance and avoided it. The young master of Snow Demon City and the others took advantage of the situation to attack again. Many kinds of terrifying talents and nirvana force bombarded Kang Shinmu's body, shrouding him in this amazing destructive power. They wanted to seriously injure Kang Shinmu. However, a black light flickered all over Kang Shinmu's body. After killing 4 people, there were only 10 left. They were no match for him. As long as they didn't run away to call for help, Kang Shinmu had nothing to fear. Devour. The devouring power gushed out and instantly devoured all of the opponent's power. Even though his entire body had suffered some injuries from his opponent's attack, to the point where his entire body was riddled with wounds and dragon blood splattered everywhere, it was nothing to Jiang Shenwu. That was because he had already devoured his opponent's power, and was able to use that power to recover himself. However, in the eyes of the Snow Demon City young lord and the others, these attacks were undoubtedly effective. They all thought that Kang Shinmu had already been injured by them, and as long as they could injure him, then defeating and killing Kang Shinmu would only be a matter of time. Keep going. Kill him. Don't leave him alive. The Snow Demon young lord gritted his teeth and said. He was very interested in Kang Shinmu, but only a dead Kang Shinmu could make him do whatever he wanted. Therefore, he could only kill Kang Shinmu first. However, Kang Shinmu had already devoured all of the opponent's power. Although he didn't use it to recover from his injuries, this power still increased Kang Shinmu's resistance to their attacks. The remaining 10 people launched their attacks once again, but Jiang Shenwu was not afraid at all. The giant black dragon above the dense forest, under the continuous gathering of dark clouds in the sky, suddenly let out a furious roar, and the pitch-black devouring power around its body exploded violently. The opponent's attacks were surging, but Kang Shinmu's devouring power was as steady as a mountain. In just 3 breaths, it had completely devoured all of the opponent's power. The injuries on his body were more severe, but it wasn't enough to kill him. However, if Kang Shinmu suffered any more attacks, he might still die if he didn't use the devoured power to recover from his injuries. After obtaining the sacred dragon essence blood, the speed at which I devour my opponent's power has obviously increased. In just 2 attacks, I've managed to resist nearly half of their power. Kang Shinmu thought to himself. He was quite confident in his current combat strength. Originally, it would have taken at least 5 or 6 attacks for him to completely devour this power and convert it into resistance to his elemental power. Now, however, he only needed 2 attacks, which clearly made him more accustomed to fast-paced battles. For example, the opponent's continuous attacks did not give Kang Shinmu any chance at all. If it had been any other dragon martial artist, even if they had the same conditions as him and did not have the devouring power, they would have already died under the opponent's attacks. Continue. The Snow Demon young lord watched as Kang Shinmu's injuries worsened, and a cold look appeared in his eyes. It was as if he could already see Kang Shinmu being killed by their combined attacks. He admired Kang Shinmu, but he still felt that this person was too stupid. He clearly possessed the sacred dragon essence blood, yet he didn't stay in his own country. Instead, he came out to run around. Wasn't this just courting death? Without hesitation, he instructed his subordinates to launch another terrifying attack. As the opponent's overwhelming power swept towards him from all directions, Kang Shinmu's eyes remained calm throughout. Pain was constantly coming from all parts of his divine dragon body, but to him, this pain was only a reminder of how much longer he could hold on. It was not something that he could not endure at all. In this world, Kang Shinmu was probably the only one who could endure this kind of pain. If it were anyone else, they would have been in so much pain that they wanted to die. Devour. The third joint attack came, and the destructive power descended. A pitch-black force appeared all over Kang Shinmu's body, and the devouring power instantly enveloped his entire body. It devoured the opponent's attacks and used the devoured power to rapidly heal his injuries. In a short period of time, Kang Shinmu's serious injuries instantly healed. Kill. This was a joint attack from the opponent, so they really didn't expect that Kang Shinmu would be able to make a comeback under such circumstances. At this time, the Shadow Dragon Sky Raising Strike broke through the final shackle and completely stepped into the heaven tier. Shadow Dragon, Sky Raising Strike. Kang Shinmu's deep voice came from the Black Dragon's body, and a total of 8 Shadow Dragon Sky Raising Strikes condensed from different directions in the field. Then, the pitch-black dragon cannons instantly erupted. Jiang Shenwu had used this move before and had even instantly killed the other party's people. However, when he had used it before, it had not been so fast. This time, his opponent didn't have any time to react at all. He was hit by the Shadow Dragon Sky Raising Strike and instantly turned into a pile of charcoal, falling into the dense forest below. 8 Shadow Dragon Phantoms, a total of 8 Black Dragon Cannons, killed 8 of his opponents at once. Only one of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm's first tier was still alive, and he wasn't killed in one fell swoop. Other than that, there was another Nirvana Tribulation Realm's first tier, and the Snow Demon City's second tier Nirvana Tribulation Realm's young master were still alive, and they weren't attacked this time. Chapter 41-42. They never expected that the heavily injured and seemingly dying young holy dragon would be able to fully recover in the blink of an eye and burst out with even more terrifying power, killing the remaining 7 of them. Only 3 Nirvana Tribulation Realm cultivators were left. One of them, who was at the first level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, was seriously injured. Most importantly, Jiang Shenwu's entire body had recovered to its peak state, and after devouring the other party's power, it was even more impossible for the other party to harm him. Go, go. The young lord of Snow Demon City could immediately tell that he was no match for Kang Shinmu. The difference was too great. Just now, more than 10 people besieged him and injured him with great difficulty. Now that he had recovered, how could they fight? Without hesitation, the young lord of Snow Demon City turned and ran, not caring about his 2 remaining subordinates. To him, those 2 didn't matter. Only his own life was the most important. Among them, the heavily injured first-level Nirvana Tribulation Realm Dragon martial artist felt grief and indignation when he saw the young lord of Snow Demon City trying to escape. He was actually abandoned. But under such circumstances, if the 3 of them didn't split up, they would all be killed in one fell swoop by the dragon martial artist. From the moment they met Kang Shinmu, it was destined to be a tragedy. If they understood Kang Shinmu's ability, they could still burst out with their strongest attack from the start and kill Kang Shinmu. Unfortunately, Kang Shinmu had the upper hand, so there was no chance for them to turn the tables. Where do you think you're going? Jiang Shenwu transformed into a black dragon that was more than 300 feet long. At this moment, he flew out in an instant. The dragon martial technique of the extreme shadow flowing light was unleashed at this moment, allowing him to catch up with the Snow Demon City young lord in an instant. He didn't deal with him at the start because if the young lord of Snow Demon City died, it was obvious that the others would scatter and escape. At that time, there were more than 10 people, and if they scattered and escaped, Kang Shinmu might not be able to catch up. If any one of them escaped, he would be in big trouble. But now, there were 3 left, and one of them was seriously injured. There was no need to keep the young lord of Snow Demon City alive. Halberd of the Sky Saint, kill. A golden light descended from the sky, blocking the path of the Snow Demon City young lord, cutting off his path of retreat. Immediately after, Kang Shinmu stepped forward and entangled the body of the Snow Demon City young lord, who had transformed into an ice divine dragon. Then, his devouring power corroded his body. Devour. In just 3 breaths of time, Kang Shinmu counted to 3, and the Snow Demon young lord that he was entangling with was completely devoured by Kang Shinmu, followed by his life force and flesh essence. The Snow Demon young lord tried his best to resist, but Kang Shinmu did not give him any chance to do so. The devouring power continued to envelop him. In a total of 10 breaths of time, the young lord of Snow Demon City, the ice divine dragon, was swallowed by the pitch-black devouring power, and all that was left was a skeleton. This scene caused the remaining 2 dragon warriors to tremble in fear. Just what kind of terrifying power did this black dragon possess? He had actually provoked such a terrifying existence. The 2 turned around and fled. One of them seemed to have cultivated a good movement dragon martial skill, and he was not injured, so he ran the fastest. Kang Shinmu dropped the ice divine dragon skeleton of the Snow Demon City young lord into the dense forest, then turned around and chased after that guy. The holy dragon blood essence made the black dragon body that Kang Shinmu had transformed into bigger and faster, not to mention that he also cultivated the grade 2 dragon martial skill, extreme shadow streak. After a few leaps and falls, Kang Shinmu left a trail of afterimages behind him, and his main body had already caught up with the faster escaping dragon warrior. The devouring power erupted. There was no need to use the void dragon sky raising break. The heavenly sacred halberd and shadow dragon Fang transformation were used at the same time, completely suppressing and killing the other party. As the dragon warrior's body fell into the dense forest, Kang Shinmu did not pay attention to it. He turned around and dealt with the last heavily injured Nirvana Tribulation Realm dragon warrior. This guy also wanted to escape, and he sneaked into the dense forest, hoping that Kang Shinmu would not find him. Unfortunately, Kang Shinmu had cultivated the mysterious dragon seeking shadow, a tracking dragon martial skill, and could clearly sense the specific location of the other party in the dense forest. There is no time to plunder the belongings of these people. After I'm done, I must first deal with the Nirvana Tribulation above my head. Without any hesitation, Kang Shinmu directly descended into the dense forest, wanting to kill the last guy. After all, if he left this guy alive, he might go back and tell on him. If some dragon emperor had some powerful means and could grasp Kang Shinmu's whereabouts, it would be too troublesome. However, just as he descended into the dense forest, wanting to deal with the last person, there was a sudden roar in the sky. It was as if a giant beast had torn through the clouds from the sky, followed by a huge black shadow appearing in the sky. A pair of huge eyes flickered with endless killing intent within the clouds, but there was only ruthlessness and indifference in its eyes. This doesn't seem to be a real living beast. It should be the opponent I need to deal with this time's Nirvana Tribulation. Kang Shinmu thought to himself as he stared at the giant beast above him. The first-level Nirvana Tribulation Realm dragon warrior below immediately fled at an even faster speed. He knew that this was his last chance. He had passed through the Nirvana Tribulation, so he deeply knew how terrifying the giant beast that the Nirvana Tribulation Realm had to deal with was. Only by killing this giant beast would he be able to withstand the Nirvana Tribulation. Otherwise, the dragon warrior would be devoured by this giant beast. Fortunately, if he wants to deal with the giant beast, he won't be able to catch up. Otherwise, he will definitely die. The first-level Nirvana Tribulation Realm Dragon Warrior fled at his fastest speed. As for Kang Shinmu, he really didn't have the time to pay attention to this guy. He had to wholeheartedly deal with the giant beast in the sky. It was also at this moment that Kang Shinmu felt that the black dragon's consciousness in his body seemed to have awakened. After the black dragon's consciousness awakened, he suddenly felt that the black shadow of the giant beast, which had originally given him endless pressure, seemed to have become no threat at all. Could it be that the black dragon's consciousness has a way to deal with this giant beast? Originally, Kang Shinmu was prepared to fight to the death, but now it seemed that there was no need for that. He was still thinking about some things in his heart when he felt his divine dragon body automatically flying towards the clouds in the sky. In terms of aura, it seemed to surpass the black shadow beast in the sky. Devour? In the next moment, Kang Shinmu saw an extremely endless and terrifying devouring power surging out from his body. It took on a pitch-black color and turned into rolling dark clouds. In an instant, it spread to the clouds in the sky, covering a small amount of light in the sky. The area below was completely covered in darkness. Chapter 41-43. Kang Shinmu was basically scared out of his wits. He originally thought that he could rely on his own strength to fight against the Nirvana Tribulation beast in the sky, but now it seemed that he did not need to do so. As the rolling black devouring clouds surged to the sky, the Nirvana Tribulation beast was completely devoured. Even Kang Shinmu could not see what it looked like. He could only feel the rumbling of thunder in the sky. Kang Shinmu had never seen such a scene before. This wasn't just caused by the Nirvana Tribulation stage beast, it was also caused by the black dragon's consciousness in his body. Although he didn't know what the exact situation was, he could be sure that the black dragon's consciousness in his body could even devour this Nirvana Tribulation. It was simply terrifying to the extreme. What kind of existence is this? Could it be an existence at the same level as the Ancestral Dragon? But even the Ancestral Dragon would not be able to devour the Nirvana Tribulation, right? Kang Shinmu was shocked from the bottom of his heart. He was completely repelled by the Nirvana Tribulation and the Black Dragon's devouring power, and fell into the dense forest below. Even now, he felt that he could not use the devouring power in his body, and had fallen into a state of half-paralysis. The commotion in the sky shook the heavens and the earth. Everyone within a radius of 100 miles could probably sense the commotion. However, Kang Shinmu was not afraid that other dragon martial artists would come and find out about this. This was because the devouring power in the sky was scattered by the Nirvana Tribulation, and it was constantly scattered in all directions. This devouring power was much more terrifying than the one in Kang Shinmu's body. The Nirvana Tribulation beast might be something that Kang Shinmu could deal with now, but the Nirvana Tribulation thundercloud was much more powerful than his current level. Even the Flame Dragon Emperor could not scatter the thundercloud. But now, the thunderclouds had been completely destroyed by the devouring power of the Black Dragon's consciousness and scattered away. The devouring power scattered in all directions, and the entire forest seemed to be corroded by the acid rain. Wherever the devouring power fell, it would be completely devoured. Whether it was the plants, the demonic beasts, or the rocks, nothing could escape the devouring power. This naturally included the subordinates of the Snow Demon City's young master who were trying to escape. Kang Shinmu saw with his own eyes that that fellow was swallowed by a pitch-black devouring force, and in less than a breath of time, it had completely dissipated. The entire forest was riddled with holes. Kang Shinmu even saw 2 young snowbird demonic beasts in the dense forest below. These 2 demonic beasts were extremely rare. Many nobles like to raise rare demonic beasts as pets. If I bring these 2 young snowbirds to the Great Xia Imperial City, I'm afraid I can exchange them for a second-grade dragon martial technique. Kang Shinmu was very clear about the value of these 2 young snowbirds. Only now did he realize that the Snow Demon City's young lord was probably eyeing these 2 snowbirds. Originally, these 2 snowbirds had been hiding in a cave. However, now that the devouring power had descended from the sky, the cave was completely devoured and exposed. These young snowbirds have not developed spiritual intelligence, nor have they harmed anyone. It would be a pity if they were to die just like that, Kang Shinmu thought to himself. The reason why he still wanted to save these two snowbirds was because he realized that the devouring power descending from the sky did not cause him any harm. Although it was not his devouring power, it seemed that the power of the black dragon's consciousness did not harm him either. Therefore, he was actually not in any danger amidst the chaos. Under such circumstances, being able to save these two young snowbirds was not a bad thing. Of the two young snowbirds, one was blue, and the other was white. Both of them had long, sharp beaks. Although they were still young, their wings had already grown. When they spread their wings, they were at least 30 meters long. Their feathers were plump, and their colors were beautiful. They were extremely beautiful demonic beasts. Kang Shinmu did not think too much. He immediately transformed into a black dragon and flew toward the two young snowbirds as fast as he could. At that moment, the two young snowbirds wanted to fly away from this area. Although it was very dangerous, if they continued to stay there, they would almost certainly die. However, at that moment, they saw Kang Shinmu transform into a black dragon and fly over. He quickly hovered above them and shielded them from the pitch-black devouring power that was about to descend. This made them feel a little more at ease. However, they still did not realize that Kang Shinmu wanted to save them. They wanted to fly away immediately, but Kang Shinmu had transformed into a black dragon that was more than 300 feet long. He blocked their path and temporarily prevented them from leaving. This was because it was impossible for them to rush out of the area where the devouring power was descending like a storm. Therefore, Kang Shinmu wanted to protect them until the area calmed down. Seeing that Kang Shinmu had transformed into a black dragon and actually blocked their path, the two snowbirds were momentarily confused. Why would a dragon martial artist come to protect them in such a dangerous place? However, they were not too stupid. They seemed to have sensed that the aura of the black dragon was somewhat similar to the devouring power descending from the sky. They also roughly understood that the calamity in the dense forest was most likely because of this black dragon. In any case, since Kang Shinmu wanted to protect them, there was no reason for them to leave. They could only wait patiently. After the time it took for an incense to burn, the sky finally calmed down. The thundercloud of the Nirvana tribulation that was trying to blast Kang Shinmu into pieces and the Nirvana tribulation giant beast had completely disappeared. In their place was a clear sky. Kang Shinmu could sense that the black dragon's consciousness had eaten its fill and returned to his body. Although he had no idea how the black dragon's consciousness did it, it was like a dream to Kang Shinmu. Doesn't this mean that every Nirvana tribulation in the future will be devoured by it? However, the black dragon's consciousness seems to have become stronger after devouring the Nirvana tribulation. This might not be a good thing for me. Kang Shinmu was slightly worried. There was definitely something wrong with the black dragon's consciousness. Therefore, he pondered and decided that if he wanted to undergo the Nirvana tribulation in the future, it would be best to choose when the black dragon's consciousness was at its weakest, or when it did not dare to come out at all. Until now, the black dragon's consciousness was most afraid of only one place, and that was the Sealing Dragon Abyss at the border between the Yen Dragon Emperor Empire and the Northern Chill Dragon Country. If I undergo the Nirvana tribulation near the Sealing Dragon Abyss, I should be able to make the black dragon's consciousness behave a little more. Kang Shinmu thought to himself. There was no other way. Although it would be convenient for him to increase his cultivation level, there were more hidden dangers. No one knew what kind of existence the black dragon's consciousness in his body was. Chapter 41-44. In any case, the place had calmed down for the time being. Fortunately, the black dragon's consciousness did not seem to be able to sense what Kang Shinmu was thinking. Otherwise, no matter what the black dragon's consciousness wanted to do, Kang Shinmu would not be able to stop it. Now it seemed that the black dragon's consciousness was more likely to be an existence that was different from the divine dragons. From the clues, Kang Shinmu could see such signs. After all, it had originally been released from the dragon's sealing abyss. In other words, it was an existence that was hostile to the super divine dragons or even supreme divine dragons. For the time being, Kang Shinmu did not know the identity of the black dragon's consciousness. However, he had a feeling that its existence would be a great threat to him in the future. If he did not figure out the identity of the black dragon's consciousness, it was likely to cause some big problems in the future. The devouring talent was given to me by the descent of the black dragon's consciousness. If not, I don't know what kind of divine dragon blood essence inheritance I would have obtained. The talent might not necessarily be the devouring talent. However, it is precisely because of this devouring talent that I am able to obtain the opportunity to go to Donghuang Yangwu College like this. For the time being, the black dragon's consciousness should be more dependent on me. It can only survive if I exist. If I die, I don't know if it will also die, but at least it will be very uncomfortable. Kang Shinmu kept thinking. At least for the time being, the black dragon's consciousness was still useful to him. He did not have much communication with the black dragon's consciousness. He only knew that the black dragon's consciousness was of a very high level. When it originally had a physical body, he did not know what it was like. Was it originally a divine dragon, or was it a dragon martial artist like him? Kang Shinmu did not know and could not make any guesses. There were too few things that he could know now. After all, his level was too low. If he could meet the super divine dragons or even supreme divine dragons in the future, he might be able to figure out the nature of the black dragon's consciousness. However, he had to be careful. After all, the black dragon's consciousness was likely to be enemies with many other mystical dragons. If this made the super mystical dragons, or even the supreme mystical dragons, view him as an opponent, then he would probably not have a good ending. He would definitely make the other party hostile. Right now, the black dragon's consciousness was hidden within its body. It was definitely afraid that some existences in this world could pose a threat to it. If Kang Shinmu wanted to defeat the black dragon's consciousness, he would have to grow faster than it. He had to have the ability to control the black dragon's consciousness. In that case, I must at least reach a level that surpasses that of the Yen Dragon Emperor. I wonder if the inherited blood essence of the super dragon god will allow me to have control over the black dragon's consciousness? Kang Shinmu thought. Now, he was protecting the pair of snowbirds beneath him. Not long after, the entire forest finally reached a complete bottleneck. After devouring the Nirvana Tribulation Thundercloud, the black dragon's consciousness returned to his body. It seemed to have become even more powerful. What was originally a dense forest had become a barren land. Kang Shinmu turned around and glanced at the devastated land. He didn't stop for long. He couldn't bring the two snowbirds with him. He could only leave them here. Although there was a possibility that they would be discovered and taken away by the dragon martial artists, Kang Shinmu definitely didn't have the ability to protect them. Right now, he could only protect them because Kang Shinmu was immune to the devouring power. He looked at the two snowbirds and shook his dragon tail. His entire 1,000-foot-long black dragon body flew into the distant sky at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. What Kang Shinmu didn't know was that when he had just left and his figure had yet to completely disappear into the clouds, two giant snowbirds were flying down from the sky in another direction. They were rushing towards the dense forest. When the two giant snowbirds landed where the two little snowbirds were and confirmed that they were safe, they looked in the direction that Kang Shinmu had disappeared. Obviously, they saw the figure of the black dragon before Kang Shinmu's figure had disappeared. Obviously, they already knew that their two little snowbirds had been saved by a dragon martial artist. Furthermore, it was a black dragon, a sacred dragon, and a very young one at that. However, they didn't follow Kang Shinmu to repay his kindness. After all, Kang Shinmu had most likely left because he wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. He didn't want to be associated with anything here. Naturally, Kang Shinmu didn't know that the great snowbirds had arrived after he had left. He flew through the clouds as fast as he could. He was currently in a relatively dangerous situation, but it was slightly better than before. After all, he had killed the young master of the Snow Demon City and obtained a lot of Demon King coins, which allowed him to survive in the Demon Emperor Dragon Country for a period of time. He flew as fast as he could in the direction of the Azure Dragon Country. The Azure Dragon Country was said to be the largest Dragon Emperor country in the eastern part of the Dragon Martial Continent. In Kang Shinmu's opinion, as long as he reached the Azure Dragon Country, he would definitely be able to find the location of Donghuang Yanggu College. He was extremely fast. In just 3 days, he had already flown from the border of the Demon Emperor Dragon Country to the next dragon domain of the Demon Emperor Dragon Country. From there, the surrounding dragon martial artists were clearly stronger. Kang Shinmu had already seen many sacred dragon realm powerhouses, such as Sacred Dragon Shitao and Xia Yan. They were all middle-aged men, and there were also some elderly ones. However, none of them were as young as Kang Shinmu. In any case, he had to continue moving forward. Along the way, no one suspected his identity. After all, as long as he didn't reveal his sacred dragon heritage essence blood, he wasn't any different from other dragon martial artists. Therefore, he really didn't dare to have any conflicts with other dragon martial artists in the Demon Emperor Dragon Country. If there was any possibility of conflict, he would immediately retreat, lest the other party discover that he had sacred dragon heritage essence blood. He had already heard some rumors. It was said that the city lord of Snow Demon City, who was also a powerhouse of the Dragon King of the Snow Demon region, was constantly searching for anyone who had been near the dense forest when that incident had occurred. As for the domain lord of the Snow Demon region, the Dragon King, the Snow Demon region, the dragon domain was named after his talent and nirvana power. He was a super powerhouse that wasn't inferior to the Dragon King. Now that there was no flame dragon envoy protecting Kang Shinmu, with such a powerhouse chasing after Kang Shinmu, he would basically die if he was caught. I have to leave the Demon Emperor Dragon Country as soon as possible, Kang Shinmu thought to himself. However, it wasn't that easy to move fast. Fortunately, he had already left the Snow Demon region. The possibility of the Snow Demon King catching up to him wasn't too high. Unknowingly, 2 months had passed since Kang Shinmu stepped into the Demon Emperor Dragon Country. He finally arrived at the central part of the Snow Demon region. This place was where the imperial city of the Demon Emperor Dragon Country was located. The Demon Dragon Emperor, who was at the same level as the Flame Dragon Emperor, would usually rest and cultivate in this imperial city. Kang Shinmu originally thought that he would be safe here. Chapter 41-45. In the Demon Emperor Dragon Country, he naturally would not see any familiar faces from the Yen Dragon Emperor's court. But now, Kang Shinmu saw someone he definitely did not want to see. That was the Snow Devil King, who looked similar to the young master of Snow Devil City, the Dragon King of Snow Devil City. He actually found this place. Kang Shinmu was a little surprised. He immediately turned and left, not attracting the attention of the other party. At this moment, the other party was drinking in a restaurant in the royal city. His eyes were filled with deep hostility and anxiety, as if he was looking for someone to take revenge on. Without a doubt, the other party had chased him all the way from the Snow Devil City to the Demon Dragon Emperor City. If Jiang Shenwu was caught here, there would be no way for him to survive. He would definitely die here, because no one in the entire Demon Emperor Dragon Country would stand on his side. He quickly left the Demon Dragon Emperor City. After all, there was a Snow Devil King here. If he was caught, he would be dead. He had just arrived at the Demon Dragon Emperor City. He had wanted to see the customs of the Demon Emperor Dragon Country, but it seemed that was impossible now. Kang Shinmu continued on the official road, but he did not transform into a mystical dragon. Instead, he used his human form to find a beast carriage and quickly left the Demon Dragon Emperor City. This beast carriage was a single-horned dragon beast carriage. Its speed was relatively fast, and if one wanted to ride on it, the price would be quite high. Fortunately, Jiang Shenwu could afford it. The unicorn carriage moved forward at its fastest speed. There were many other dragon warriors on the carriage, but they did not speak to each other. They all closed their eyes and rested, thinking about something. Basically, as long as Kang Shinmu did not speak, no one would notice him. 7 days later, Kang Shinmu rode the unicorn carriage and arrived at a relatively large city in the Demon Emperor Dragon country. He relaxed a little, thinking that the Snow Devil King would not catch up so quickly. He rested for a day, then continued on his way. He was about to run out of Demon Emperor coins and was about to leave this country. As long as he left, the Snow Devil King wouldn't be able to catch him. This city was a stronghold of the Demon Emperor Dragon country, but it wasn't a stronghold at the border. It was still a distance away from the border, but it was a dangerous place. It was easy to defend but hard to attack. Basically, the Demon Emperor Dragon country had been attacked by other countries many times, but they had managed to defend this stronghold. The enemy couldn't pass through this natural moat. Kang Shinmu only rested for a day before he left. Outside of this stronghold, the dragon warriors of the Demon Emperor Dragon country rarely came. Only a few groups of miners would come. Demonic beasts also often appeared in this area. Outside the fortress was a vast desert. To the dragon warriors, passing through this vast desert was not a difficult task. As long as they passed through it, they would be within the boundaries of another country. During this period of time, Kang Shinmu basically didn't stop and had to travel alone. This was because no beast carriage was willing to take people to the real border of the Demon Emperor Dragon country. There were too many demonic beasts nearby, and it was easy to encounter accidents. Basically, Kang Shinmu could only see some adventurous dragon warriors who were out to hunt demonic beasts. Naturally, Kang Shinmu wouldn't hunt demonic beasts. It was meaningless. He moved forward as fast as he could, and very quickly, he came to the edge of the desert. But at this moment, from the clouds behind him, many divine dragon bodies suddenly appeared. The divine dragon in the lead had a body that was both black and white, which was the same color as the Snow Devil King's cloak. They've caught up. Kang Shinmu's heart skipped a beat. Then, he saw the other party rushing straight towards him from the clouds. There were more than 10 powerful dragon warriors, and Kang Shinmu was no match for any of them. From the looks of it, the other party was flying straight towards him. Obviously, they were very sure that he was the person who killed the Snow Devil City's young master in the forest. Kang Shinmu knew that there was no other way. He had to fly out of the Demon Emperor Dragon country's territory at full speed and find a place to hide. It would be best if he could hide and leave and the other party couldn't find him. However, it seemed that the situation was still very dangerous. It could be said that he didn't have much of a chance to escape. Go. Kang Shinmu didn't hesitate. Even if the chances were slim, he wouldn't sit and wait for death. He saw some stone forests in the desert in front of him. There were some stone pillars standing on this desert, so he turned into a dragon and flew in the direction of the stone forest. The speed of a dragon was much faster. Now that he had been discovered and caught by the other party, he couldn't not reveal his identity as the Holy Dragon's blood essence. Very quickly, he took the lead and flew into the stone forest, concealing his figure. However, Jiang Shenwu guessed that the Snow Devil King and the others might have some kind of ability to track him, so it wouldn't be of much use for him to hide. Therefore, he kept moving forward in the stone forest without stopping. "Thief, don't go." A series of shouts came from behind Kang Shinmu. It was obvious that the Snow Devil King and the others were getting closer and closer. As long as any one of them caught up, Kang Shinmu would be dead. Kang Shinmu even used the second-grade dragon martial technique of the extreme shadow flowing light to increase his flying speed. However, his speed really couldn't increase the distance between him and the dragon martial artists behind him whose cultivation was much higher than his. Soon, the other party actually split into several directions and surrounded Kang Shinmu from all directions. And right in front of Jiang Shenwu, the black and white Dragon King blood essence expert appeared in front of him. Shockingly, it was the Snow Devil King who had transformed into a dragon. "You killed this prince's son, and you want to leave just like that? You're too naive." The Snow Devil King's dragon eyes were full of coldness and killing intent. "No matter where you come from, you must die here today and accompany my son. He could see that Kang Shinmu was still very young. To be able to obtain the Holy Dragon's blood essence at such a young age, he was definitely a genius among the dragon martial artists. However, this place was still quite far from Donghuang Yangwu College. The Snow Devil King had never heard of a place like Donghuang Yangwu College, so he didn't think of going in this direction. Of course, this didn't affect anything. In any case, the Snow Devil King wanted Kang Shinmu's life. Moreover, the Snow Devil King's people were everywhere, so there was no way for Kang Shinmu to escape in this stone forest. Kang Shinmu's heart took a turn for the worse. He knew that his current situation was quite critical, and it could be said that there was basically no possibility of him escaping. Black Dragon's consciousness? This thing has been in a deep sleep after swallowing the Nirvana tribulation. There's no movement at all now, so I can't count on it. Is there any other way to escape? Kang Shinmu kept thinking, but in this situation, no matter how he thought, he couldn't think of any way to stop the other party from killing him. However, he still maintained his calm. Chapter 41-46. For the time being, Kang Shinmu did not know how the other party had caught up, so if he played dumb, he might have a last chance of survival. But unfortunately, the Snow Devil King was completely sure that the one who killed his son was Kang Shinmu, the Holy Dragon. The huge divine dragon body that the Snow Devil King had transformed into was like a mountain pressing down on Kang Shinmu. Together with the other dragon warriors, they surrounded Kang Shinmu. After hearing Kang Shinmu's words, the Snow Devil King sneered. "Little brat, you still want to deny it? From your body, I can already feel the despair of my son when he died, so you can't escape." Although he said so, Kang Shinmu still had some doubts. Since the other party was completely sure that he had killed the young master of the Snow Devil City, why did the Snow Devil King not kill him directly, but still talk nonsense with him? Kang Shinmu narrowed his eyes. Could it be that the Snow Devil King had some other ideas about him and didn't want to kill him for the time being, but wanted to capture him? This possibility still existed. After all, Kang Shinmu had now revealed the fact that he had the blood essence of a holy dragon. Therefore, his disheartened heart was rekindled again. It seemed that he was not fated to die today. Bring him back. With a command from the Snow Devil King, the other dragon martial artists made a move, wanting to capture him. But it was also at this moment that an icy snowflake descended from the sky, instantly freezing all the other dragon martial artists apart from the Snow Devil King. This sudden scene made Kang Shinmu's expression change slightly. What was going on? The reason why Kang Shinmu was surprised was that although the dragon warriors of the Snow Devil King who wanted to capture him were all frozen, nothing happened to him. The cold snowflakes falling from the sky were unknown. Could it be that they wanted to save Kang Shinmu? This opportunity could not be missed. Kang Shinmu did not hesitate. Even though the Snow Devil King had not been frozen, he still turned around and flew away. As expected, the Snow Devil King was enraged. He roared, "What kind of demonic beast is this? How dare you behave so atrociously in my Demon Emperor Dragon country? You must be tired of living." Immediately after, a huge creature emerged from one of the white clouds. When it appeared, it brought with it a terrifying power of ice and snow, enveloping the entire world. At first, the Snow Devil King wasn't affected much. But as time passed, even the Snow Devil King felt that the divine dragon essence blood in his bloodline seemed to be gradually freezing, causing his battle strength to continuously decrease. Snow Bird. As Kang Shinmu flew away, he turned his head back to observe. He discovered that the huge creature was actually a huge bird with snow-white wings. It was an adult snow bird demonic beast. At this moment it was using all its strength to stall the Snow Devil King, so that the Snow Devil King didn't have the strength to chase after Kang Shinmu. Could it be that back then, Kang Shinmu thought of the two young snow birds that he had saved when he had killed the young master of the Snow Devil City in the dense forest? At that time, he hadn't thought about the consequences of saving those two snow birds. But now, it seemed that his act of kindness had actually helped him. Now, the elder of the snow bird had obviously come to help Kang Shinmu escape. Of course, that huge snow bird might not be a match for the Snow Devil King. If the battle dragged on, this was the territory of the Demon Emperor Dragon Country, which was very disadvantageous to the snow bird. Therefore, Kang Shinmu knew that he had to hurry up and escape as quickly as possible. Otherwise, if he couldn't stall the snow bird, it was very likely that he would be captured. Kang Shinmu used the extreme shadow flowing light, a second-grade body-type dragon martial technique. The divine dragon essence blood in his body kept erupting, and his talent and nirvana force were used to the maximum at the same time. This allowed his divine dragon body to move forward rapidly. Before long, he had already disappeared from the Snow Devil King's sight. But even so, it was still not enough. Kang Shinmu had to leave the territory of the Demon Emperor Dragon Country in order to completely shake off the Snow Devil King's pursuit. So now, that huge snow bird was still in the sky, using its talent as a demonic beast to descend endless ice and snow. It didn't intend to kill the Snow Devil King, but only wanted to buy time so that Kang Shinmu could escape. The Snow Devil King's full strength exploded in an instant when he lost sight of Kang Shinmu. He definitely wouldn't allow the little bastard who had killed his son to escape from his sight. Snowbird? That's impressive. It seems that the little bastard saved your descendant. The Snow Devil King snorted coldly. He also knew that his son had gone to capture young snowbirds, but he didn't expect that he would never return. Now that the huge snowbird had appeared to help Kang Shinmu escape, he could vaguely guess the specific situation at that time. The Snow Devil King's talent exploded, and a terrifying snowstorm burst out of his body, rushing towards the snowbird in the sky. Both sides had the power of ice and snow, but the Snow Devil King's power had an additional demonic nature. This was the power of the divine dragon's blood essence that he had obtained, the power of the ice demon Snow King Dragon. His strength clearly surpassed that of the gigantic snowbird. However, the gigantic snowbird had made the first move, and had already suppressed most of his battle prowess. Thus, the Snow Devil King really couldn't do anything to this gigantic snowbird. Scram! The Snow Devil King was finally furious. He understood that with Kang Shinmu's speed, it was very likely that he wouldn't be able to catch up if he was delayed for a while longer. Once Kang Shinmu left the territory of the Demon Emperor Dragon Country and the Snow Devil King chased after him, it was very likely that the dragon martialists of other countries would think that it was an invasion. This would have a negative impact on the Demon Emperor Dragon Country, and if it wasn't handled well, it was very likely that it would start a war. This wasn't what the Snow Devil King wanted to see. So at this time, he actually took out an elixir that emitted endless cold air and crushed it in his hand. The terrifying cold air in this elixir immediately surged into the Snow Devil King's divine dragon body. In this way, the Snow Devil King's aura actually soared all of a sudden. The huge snow bird was shocked. It hadn't expected that the Snow Devil King would actually use such an elixir. This elixir was very expensive. Under normal circumstances, the Snow Devil King definitely wouldn't be willing to use it, but now, in order to avenge his son, he was actually willing to use it. Seeing this situation, the huge snowbird immediately flapped its wings and flew away, wanting to escape. However, the Snow Devil King snorted coldly and didn't chase after it. He knew that the purpose of using this elixir was to capture Kang Shinmu, so he had to capture Kang Shinmu. This huge snowbird was only secondary. If he captured Kang Shinmu, then it would be much easier to deal with this huge snowbird. After all, the demonic beast's habitat in the vicinity was only on this barren desert. Chapter 41-47. The aura of the Snow Devil King was hot on his heels. Kang Shinmu transformed into his divine dragon body and moved forward as fast as he could. He was getting more and more anxious. It was clear that the Snow Devil King's aura was much stronger than before. The other dragon warriors were still recovering from being frozen and had not caught up. Only the Snow Devil King, who had taken the cold chi pill, was chasing after him alone. Faster, faster. Kang Shinmu moved forward as fast as he could. Not far to his right was the dense forest with many demonic beasts. Of course, he did not dare to go there. If he encountered another powerful demonic beast, he would not be able to escape today. His only chance now was to leave the territory of the Demon Emperor Dragon Country and reach the territory of the next Dragon Emperor Country. That way, he would be able to restrain the Snow Devil King and prevent him from chasing him. But even if he managed to do that, the Snow Devil King would probably chase after him and kill him. After all, as long as the Snow Devil King caught up to him, he would be killed in the blink of an eye. The difference in strength between the two sides was too great. Kang Shinmu could not even take one move from the Snow Devil King. This was not a problem of the grade of the divine dragon blood essence. The key was the suppression in terms of cultivation level. It was too terrifying. However, just as Kang Shinmu was about to fly forward, a voice suddenly appeared in his mind. This voice suddenly told him to fly towards the dense forest on his right. It seemed that there would be a powerful existence protecting him. This made his heart tremble. He did not know where this voice came from. The black dragon consciousness in his body had not appeared for a long time, so it could not be the voice of the black dragon consciousness. Moreover, the black dragon consciousness had never warned him in this aspect. This made Kang Shinmu think of the giant snow bird that had just appeared in the sky. Could it be that? Kang Shinmu thought to himself. This was the only possibility. Apart from this, there was no one else who could have warned him or saved his life. Most importantly, that dense forest was in the direction of a powerful demon beast kingdom. Although it was independent of the demon beast kingdom, it was usually guarded by powerful demon beasts. Perhaps this place had resources that were very important to demon beasts. Even if all the kingdoms of the Dragon Emperor worked together, they would not be able to break into this forest. Otherwise, this dense forest would have long been occupied by the dragon martial artists. As Kang Shinmu thought of this, he saw that the Snow Devil King was getting closer and closer. He knew that if he didn't listen to the voice, there was a 99% chance that the Snow Devil King would catch up to him and kill him. So when he heard that sound, he turned towards the dense forest on the right without hesitation. His black dragon body flew straight over, and in an instant, the Snow Devil King, who was chasing after him, widened his eyes. Is this kid courting death? The Snow Devil King snorted coldly and hurriedly changed his direction to catch up. He knew that this dense forest was the habitat of the demon beasts. There might even be some secrets that the demon beasts valued very much. Even if a powerful dragon emperor came, he might not be able to break into it. He, the Snow Devil King, was only a dragon king. Although it was easy to kill Kang Shinmu, to let him break into this dense forest, he was still a little fearful. That's right. This kid is actually related to that giant snow bird. Maybe that giant snow bird is letting him step into this dense forest. The Snow Devil King gritted his teeth but did not hesitate at all. Instead, he directly chased in the direction that Kang Shinmu was heading. His speed was extremely fast. In mid-air, he was like a stream of light streaking across the sky. In the blink of an eye, he had flown dozens of miles. Unfortunately, halfway through, a snowstorm suddenly fell from the sky, crashing down on the Snow Devil King's path. This snowstorm was clearly released by the giant snow bird. It was specially used to stop the Snow Devil King from advancing. The terrifying snowstorm fell from the sky. Even the Snow Devil King, who had taken the elixir to increase his strength, had no choice but to stop. This snowstorm had stopped him from advancing. As the snowstorm fell, the surrounding temperature dropped. The Snow Devil King's entire body seemed to be covered in frost, causing him to slow down in an instant. However, he had no way to deal with the giant snow bird hidden in the sky. Thus, his emotions became extremely irritable. The Snow Devil King had originally wanted to catch up and kill Kang Shinmu as quickly as possible. However, by the time he had unleashed his strength and dealt with this snowstorm, he had already lost sight of Kang Shinmu. It was obvious that Kang Shinmu had already stepped into that dense forest. Where do you think you're going? The Snow Devil King did not give up. His eyes were filled with endless killing intent. His giant dragon body continued to sweep forward rapidly. Very soon, he was nearing the edge of the dense forest. However, at the same time, a giant snow bird appeared in the sky. It was faintly discernible in the clouds. Ice and snow storms swept down continuously, hindering the Snow Devil King's movement. Most importantly, the closer the Snow Devil King got to this dense forest, the more he seemed to sense that there seemed to be some powerful and terrifying demon beast in this forest. That kind of aura, although still relatively far away, was already a threat to him. A kind of death crisis had actually locked onto the Snow Devil King from who knew how far away. Moreover, he had also sensed it. This made him break out in a cold sweat. Finally, he stopped in his tracks. This dense forest. Damn it. He had an extremely vexed feeling. If he had known earlier, he would have directly killed Kang Shinmu when he had intercepted him. Then, so many things would not have happened. Now, it was too late for regret. The murderer who had killed his son had already escaped from his eyes. This was a possibility that he had never thought of before he had chased after him. There was actually a demon beast helping this kid. Otherwise, even if Kang Shinmu had 100 lives, he would still die in the hands of the Snow Devil King. However, it was a pity that he had missed it. Under the pressure of that terrifying and tyrannical aura, the Snow Devil King did not dare to chase after him. Finally, he reluctantly retreated. However, it was clear that he did not go far. He guessed that Kang Shinmu might not be able to stay in this dense forest for long. After all, this was the territory of the demon beasts. Perhaps the giant snowbird was just protecting him a little. Right now, he could no longer sense Kang Shinmu's position in the depths of the dense forest. However, he did not give up hope. He was prepared to wait for a while in the distance and hide. If Kang Shinmu appeared from the dense forest again, he would appear and directly kill Kang Shinmu. This possibility could not be said to be non-existent, but it was still relatively slim. However, the Snow Devil King could only think of this method now. He had a feeling that if he chased into the dense forest, he might die. Moreover, even if he chased after him, it would be extremely difficult for him to find Kang Shinmu in that kind of terrain. After the dense forest aura covered Kang Shinmu's aura, he could not accurately grasp Kang Shinmu's position. This was the key reason why he gave up on the chase. Moreover, there was still a giant snowbird eyeing him covetously. Chapter 41-48. As soon as Kang Shinmu entered the dense forest, he sensed that the Snow Devil King had stopped chasing him. He heaved a sigh of relief. However, he could see that the forest was full of monsters. Even other dragon martial artists did not dare to enter the forest. This forest was known as the Demon Shadow's Enchanting Forest. For the Demon Emperor Dragon Country, it was a forbidden area. Very few people would enter the Demon Shadow's Enchanting Forest because the dragon martial artists who entered had basically died in it. The Demon Shadow's Enchanting Forest was a relatively important place for monsters. Although no one knew what kind of secrets it had, even the Dragon Emperor experts did not dare to enter it easily. Kang Shinmu did not dare to go out for the time being. After all, if he went out now, he would definitely be caught by the Snow Devil King. However, he did not dare to move recklessly in case he got into trouble in this forest. Not long after, there was some movement in the bushes in front of him. Very quickly, 2 young snowbirds appeared in front of him. They flew out of the dense forest and circled around him while chirping. One was blue, and the other was white. The 2 snowbirds spread their wings and were very beautiful. If a girl saw them, she would definitely like them and want to keep them as pets. It really is the 2 young snowbirds that I saved before. Kang Shinmu heaved a sigh of relief. In this way, he could basically confirm that the elders of the 2 young snowbirds were helping him. Fortunately, when he found the 2 snowbirds, they were not dead yet and were protected by Kang Shinmu. To be honest, it was just a flash of inspiration. He did not expect that he would be able to save his life. Life was always so coincidental. The two young snowbirds flew around Kang Shinmu for a while, then stopped and flew in a certain direction. It seemed that they were guiding Kang Shinmu to follow them. Kang Shinmu was a little puzzled, but he did not think too much about it and directly followed them. The other party had just saved him, so he would not harm him. As for the giant snowbird, Kang Shinmu did not see any trace of it. However, he could imagine that it should be nearby to protect him. Otherwise, he would not be at ease to let two young snowbirds lead the way alone. Kang Shinmu followed him all the way and soon entered the depths of the demonic shadow maze. Of course, Kang Shinmu could feel that the other party was still taking a detour. There were too many spirit designs set up by the monsters in this demonic shadows maze. If he barged in recklessly, he might not even be able to keep his life. I wonder what kind of secret exists in this dense forest that the demonic beasts attach so much importance to. It was said that there were many powerful monsters in the demonic shadow maze that were comparable to the Dragon Emperor. As for what they were doing in the jungle, Kang Shinmu had no idea. He did not want to care about that now. He just wanted to leave as soon as possible and go to Donghuang Yangwu College. In the demonic shadow maze, it was quiet. Occasionally, the sounds of other monsters could be heard, embellishing the silence of the forest. Not long after, a few majestic monsters appeared in front of Kang Shinmu. They looked like a few giant bears. In the dense forest, their brown bodies blended in with the color of the forest. They were huge, but it was difficult to notice them. The two snowbirds did not notice them and suddenly bumped into them. Therefore, the giant bears turned around and were instantly enraged. They did not expect a human dragon martial artist to appear here. However, before they could let out any angry roars, a beautiful woman with a perfect figure appeared in front of Kang Shinmu and protected the two young snowbirds. At the same time, she said, "This is the savior of my Arctic snow children. Move aside, I will bring him out of the demonic shadow maze." Arctic snow? Kang Shinmu listened from behind and realized that this beautiful woman in a snow blue dress was actually the human form of the giant snowbird. Monsters like the heaven-opening devil dragon that had reached the peak could transform into human form. Without a doubt, this Arctic snow was also very strong, at least on par with the snow devil king. Now that she had transformed into human form, she was so beautiful that she was no different from an ordinary human. When she appeared in front of them, the giant bears did not dare to say anything and hurriedly moved aside. "You must be going to Donghuang Yangwu College, right? Follow me." The reason why our seniors have protected this demonic shadow maze is because of an ancient space-time formation. From this space-time formation, we can connect the entire space of the Dragon Martial continent. North Pole Snow turned around and a smile appeared on her devastatingly beautiful face. And her words completely shocked Kang Shinmu. The ancient space-time formation could connect the entire Dragon Martial continent. This was something that even the human dragon martial artists did not know about, and it was actually in the hands of the demonic beasts. This news could be said to be unbelievable. Obviously, if what Arctic Snow said was true, then Kang Shinmu could directly go to Donghuang Yangwu College. He would not have to go through so much trouble to get to Donghuang Yangwu College from here. And most importantly, it seemed that he could rely on this ancient space-time formation to quickly travel between Donghuang Yangwu College and the Demon Emperor Dragon Country. Within the Demon Emperor Dragon Country, he could still summon the heaven-opening Devil Dragon and have it bring him back, then quickly return to the Flame Dragon Emperor Empire. In other words, Kang Shinmu's previous plan could be realized. When undergoing the Nirvana tribulation, he could completely return to the Flame Dragon Emperor Empire to undergo it. That way, he would not have to worry about the Nirvana tribulation being devoured by the Black Dragon consciousness in his body. Of course, the problem was that the demonic beasts would definitely not allow him to use the ancient space-time formation without any restrictions. Moreover, although Arctic Snow was an expert among the demonic beasts and should have some say, in reality, he was not considered much among the demonic beasts of the entire dragon martial continent. As for the ancient space-time formation, he should not have the authority to allow Kang Shinmu to pass through it every time. Moreover, he was a human, a dragon martial artist. This news had never been spread. If Kang Shinmu spread this news, it would also be a threat to the demonic beasts. For the sake of this ancient space-time formation, the human dragon martial artists might also unite to snatch it. In any case, he did not know how Arctic Snow would arrange this. These follow-up plans could wait until the situation became clear. In that case, many thanks, Senior. Kang Shinmu cupped his fists in gratitude. To him, Arctic Snow was a senior who had lived for God knows how long. Although he could command the heaven-opening devil dragon at will, even if Arctic Snow's strength was not as strong as the heaven-opening devil dragon, he did not dare to be too rash. He had only saved the life of the heaven-opening devil dragon. Kang Shinmu did not dare to treat it as a life-saving treasure. To be honest, a life for a life. Now that Arctic Snow had saved him from the Snow Devil King, they were even. No need to thank me. You saved my children. 2 lives, so I will help you twice. The first time, I will save you from the Snow Devil King. The second time, I will help you get to Donghuang Yangwu College. From now on, you will have nothing to do with us. Chapter 41-49. Regarding Arctic Snow's words, Kang Shinmu also had a hunch. This meant that he would not be able to use this method to travel between Donghuang Yangwu College and the Demon Emperor Dragon Kingdom in the future. However, this was the only time he would be able to travel to Donghuang Yangwu College quickly, which was already very good. And at least he knew of the existence of the ancient time portal. As for whether he could return through the ancient time portal in the future, he would have to think of a way. I still have to thank you, Senior. Kang Shinmu said politely again, then continued to follow Arctic Snow through the dense forest. Along the way, it seemed that Arctic Snow had passed through all the important checkpoints. When he reached what seemed to be the center of the entire forest, he saw a magnificent scene hidden deep in the forest. It was an ancient time portal dotted with the colors of stars, like a door flashing with the colors of stars. Under the flowing light and shadow, it exuded a mysterious aura. Kang Shinmu was not worried that Arctic Snow would frame him. She did not need to. If she wanted to force him to do something, she could just use her strength. There was no need to make up lies to deceive him. After arriving at this place, Kang Shinmu saw that there were many guards beside the ancient time portal. Among them, the 2 most conspicuous were 2 pitch-black hounds. These 2 hounds had 2 heads. They were actually 2-headed hound monsters. This was an existence with an extremely high bloodline. Its bloodline was equivalent to the blood essence of the holy dragon among the dragon warriors. Moreover, it could continue to grow after reaching adulthood. Kang Shinmu could feel that the strength of these 2 hounds was definitely not inferior to the Yen Dragon Emperor Dynasty's Yen Dragon Emperor Dynasty. In other words, within this dense forest, there were at least 2 Yen Dragon Emperor level experts guarding. And Kang Shinmu believed that this was not all the guards in this forest. There must be even more stronger guards hidden in the hidden places. Otherwise, there was no guarantee that they would be able to defend this ancient time portal. This kid is the savior of your children? One of the 2-headed hounds leaned lazily against the trunk of a tree. It opened its eyes slightly and looked at Kang Shinmu. Then, it waved its paw and said, "He passed. Let him go." It seemed that the 2 double-headed hounds were in charge of the ancient space-time formation. Following their command, Kang Shinmu saw a few gorilla-like demonic beasts walk out from the vicinity of the ancient space-time formation and beckoned him to enter it. North Pole Snow smiled at Kang Shinmu. "Go on, from here you will reach the Azure Dragon Country. Donghuang Yangwu College is not far from there." "Yes." Kang Shinmu nodded and stepped forward. It seemed that because he was a dragon warrior, most of the demonic beasts in this forest were not very friendly with him. However, with North Pole Snow around, these demonic beasts did not dare to act rashly. Moreover, the two double-headed hounds had already let him pass. After that, he walked towards the ancient space-time formation. The gorilla-like demonic beasts began to control the ancient space-time formation, injecting some mysterious power into it. Immediately after, Kang Shinmu felt himself surrounded by starlight. Then, he felt the world spin around him, as if his entire body was being torn to pieces. However, his consciousness was still intact, and he could clearly feel that he was moving non-stop. He tried his best to stay awake, but soon he could not hold on. In the midst of the chaos, he lost consciousness and fainted. When he woke up again, he seemed to hear someone talking beside him. Here is enough. Outside is the Azure Dragon country. We have completed Senior North Pole Snow's task. A somewhat rough voice traveled over. It seemed to be a demonic beast. That's right. Leave him here and let's go. His memories of the ancient space-time formation have already been erased by the Elder, so there's no need to worry. Another demonic beast's voice traveled over. Then, Kang Shinmu felt his body being thrown down heavily. After that, footsteps could be heard. It seemed that the two demonic beasts had left. Kang Shinmu's head was a little swollen, but he quickly regained his senses. According to what they said, his memories seemed to have been erased by a demonic beast elder. But he clearly remembered the ancient space-time formation. Could it be that the Black Dragon's consciousness made me immune to the demonic beast elder's memory erasure? Kang Shinmu could only think of this. With such a method, it was no wonder that North Pole snow would bring a dragon warrior like him to the ancient space-time formation. It turned out that there was a demonic beast elder who could erase his memories. But no matter what, he still remembered everything, and he had already arrived at the Azure Dragon country. He couldn't possibly leak the information about the ancient space-time formation in the demonic beast's territory. It wouldn't do him any good, so it was time for him to report to Donghuang Yangwu College. The Azure Dragon country is said to be the largest divine dragon country in the eastern part of the Dragon Martial continent. Just the Dragon Emperor level experts alone number in the double digits. Kang Shinmu was a little excited, but he didn't act immediately. Instead, he closed his eyes and rested, pretending to be unconscious. On one hand, he needed to prevent anyone from spying on him. On the other hand, he needed to recover his strength. After a while, a rustling sound finally came from behind him. Let's go, he's still unconscious. There won't be any danger here. Only now did the demonic beast that brought him here truly leave. Previously, it had been keeping an eye on Jiang Shenwu just in case. Kang Shinmu's guess was right. After the two demonic beasts left, he finally stood up and looked around. He discovered that he was actually in a pile of rubble. There were countless boulders all around him, and the same was true behind him. Where did I get thrown out from? Kang Shinmu looked around and smiled bitterly. He had been hoping to return here and use the ancient space-time formation to return to the Demon Emperor Dragon country. Now, it seemed that he couldn't even find the demonic beasts near this pile of rubble. Since that was the case, he could only give up on this idea for now. He raised his head and tried to determine the direction, but he had no idea where to go. Forget it, I'll just go in a random direction. This place should be very close to the Azure Dragon country. I'll just ask if I see anyone. Kang Shinmu thought to himself as he picked a random direction and started moving. This pile of rubble wasn't small, and he saw quite a few demonic beasts moving around. It seemed that this entire pile of rubble was a demonic beast gathering ground. However, this pile of rubble was only the periphery. He didn't know where the core of the gathering ground hid the ancient space-time formation. Some of the demonic beasts he encountered along the way were stronger than Kang Shinmu, but they didn't attack Kang Shinmu. Instead, they acted as if they didn't see him and let him pass by. Kang Shinmu knew that when he had been sent out, he had been marked with a demonic beast's mark, so the demonic beasts along the way wouldn't attack him. Chapter 4150. With the aura of the dragon warriors, Kang Shinmu heaved a sigh of relief. This meant that he was about to leave the area where the demonic beasts gathered. Very quickly, he continued to move forward. Sure enough, he saw 4 young dragon warriors hunting some demonic beasts in the rubble. These 4 young dragon warriors had all transformed into the form of a divine dragon. Each of them was impressively a heavenly dragon-level divine dragon blood essence inheritor. Furthermore, they had all reached at least the 5th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. In the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, this realm was at least 30 or 40 years old. However, judging from the aura of the 4 young dragon warriors in front of him, Kang Shinmu felt that they were not even 30 years old. They were absolute geniuses. If they were in the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, they would definitely be geniuses that would shock the entire Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. Even the geniuses of the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty that Kang Shinmu had met in the past could not be considered geniuses at all. The 5th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm had the 5th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Right now, Kang Shinmu was only at the 1st level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. However, even if he was at the 1st level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, he should be able to deal with the 4 young dragon warriors working together. One must know that his Nirvana Tribulation realm had evolved from the devouring power, which was equivalent to increasing his devouring power by more than 10 times. Originally, when he was at the peak of the divine martial realm, he was already able to fight against the 4th or even the 5th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Now, there was no need to say anything more. After his devouring power had increased by 10 times, his strength had become extremely terrifying. Right now, all he lacked was the corresponding dragon martial skill. Of course, the dragon martial skill he needed was at least a grade 1 dragon martial skill, which was the origin dragon martial skill. Those were methods created by the origin divine dragon, and there were very few of them in the human realm. However, very quickly, as he observed the battle between the opponents and the demonic beasts, Kang Shinmu became serious. He discovered that although the 4 young dragon warriors in front of him were at the 5th and 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, they all had unique skills. Almost every one of them had a dragon-level dragon weapon. The most important thing was that each of them had actually grasped a few grade 2 dragon martial skills. They were just short of learning the source dragon martial skill. In fact, they had yet to display the origin dragon martial skill. As for whether they had cultivated it or not, who knew? There were 2 men and 2 women, a total of 4 youths. If any one of them were to be placed in the Jiang tribal clan, they would be strong enough to be the patriarch. Even if all the elders of the Jiang tribal clan joined forces, they would not be a match for any one of them. Right now, Kang Shinmu was indeed very strong, but he was not sure if the 4 young dragon warriors had already used their full strength. If they were still hiding something, Kang Shinmu might not be their match even if they joined forces. Of course, after Kang Shinmu reached the Nirvana Tribulation realm, he had yet to truly test his combat limits, so he was not particularly clear about what realm of opponent he could deal with. Another advantage he had was that he was the inheritor of the blood essence of a holy dragon. Compared to the 4 young dragon warriors in front of him, he had a natural advantage. Not long after, the 4 young dragon warriors killed their respective demon beasts. Then, the imposing thunder divine dragon returned to human form and looked in the direction of Kang Shinmu. "Who are you?" The other party's voice was very calm and had a convincing tone. He did not make things difficult for Kang Shinmu, mainly because he looked down on a kid who had just stepped into the Nirvana Tribulation realm, so he only asked a question. "Everyone, I would like to ask, where is the Azure Dragon Kingdom? And which direction is Donghuang Yanggu College?" Kang Shinmu naturally only wanted to ask for directions. He would not actually fight with the other party. Seeing such talented young dragon warriors in a place like this gave him a certain understanding of the overall strength of the Azure Dragon Kingdom. In a place like the Azure Dragon Kingdom, one would not even know how they died if they provoked others. The overall strength of this place was too strong. The average strength of each dragon warrior was a lot stronger than that of the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. Kang Shinmu could not do whatever he wanted in the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, let alone in the Azure Dragon Kingdom. When the other party heard his question, they were stunned for a moment before they all burst into laughter. The Azure Dragon Kingdom? This place belongs to the Azure Dragon Kingdom. As for Donghuang Yangwu College, why are you asking about that place? Do you think you have the right to go there? One of the young girls chuckled, her eyes filled with disdain. In her opinion, Jiang Shenwu had suddenly appeared beside her and watched her kill the demonic beasts. Perhaps he was a wandering dragon cultivator from some unknown place. To think that he would ask for directions in the Azure Dragon Nation. This was too ridiculous. Moreover, Donghuang Yangwu College was a place that even the four of them yearned for. Unfortunately, they did not have the qualifications to go there. This, I was just asking. It was not easy to come to the Azure Dragon Kingdom, so I wanted to see the legendary Donghuang Yangwu College. Kang Xinmu smiled embarrassedly, but he did not tell the truth. He discovered that after he reached the first level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, the aura of the holy dragon blood on his body had actually been restrained. Unless one's strength was much higher than his, they would not be able to tell what level his divine dragon inheritance blood was. Since the other party did not know, Kang Xinmu could not be bothered to say more to avoid any misunderstandings. We are dragon warrior students from Qingcang Tianlong Court. If you want to go to Donghuang Yangwu College, then follow us. We are about to go back. The calm and valiant youth said to Kang Xinmu, then turned around to leave. Kid, follow us closely. Qingcang Tianlong Court is not far from Donghuang Yangwu College. If you can follow us, you will be able to see Donghuang Yangwu College. Another skinny and lively youth smiled at Kang Xinmu, then immediately transformed into a dragon and flew up. It seemed that they had only come here to kill some specific monsters. Now that they had completed their task, they wanted to go back. Qingcang Tianlong Court? Kang Xinmu listened to the name. It seemed to be a dragon warrior academy, similar to Donghuang Yangwu College. However, it should belong to the Azure Dragon Kingdom itself. The entry requirements were not as harsh as Donghuang Yangwu College. The students trained there should be the elites of the entire Azure Dragon Kingdom. This was something that Kang Xinmu could accept. Since these four young dragon warriors were the elites of the Azure Dragon Kingdom, it was natural for them to have such talent. Chapter 41-51. However, Kang Xinmu didn't bother with the other party. For him, it was good enough that the other party was willing to lead the way. After all, they were just strangers who met by chance. He felt embarrassed to ask the other party to stop and wait for him. Since the other party flew away directly, he didn't stand on ceremony. He turned into a black dragon and flew in the direction of the other party. To his surprise, he discovered that he could now control the size of his dragon form. It seemed to be due to the black dragon's will that allowed him to easily conceal his true size. This way, others really wouldn't be able to tell from his appearance that he was a holy dragon's legacy blood essence. He disguised himself as a heavenly dragon level inheritance blood essence. His body was more than 100 feet long, nearly 3 times smaller than his actual size. If he fully unfolded his body, it would be 1,000 feet long divine dragon body. At a glance, it was obvious that he was a divine dragon level inheritance blood essence. At this moment, he turned into a black dragon and followed the other party. He used the dragon martial technique, Dragon Shadow, to steadily keep up with the other party. Now, not only could his strength keep up with a 5th level Nirvana Tribulation Realm dragon martial artist, he also wouldn't fall behind in other aspects, including speed. Soon, the other 2 men and 2 women were a little surprised. They were curious that Kang Xinmu actually had the ability to catch up. This made them feel a little embarrassed. After all, they felt that Kang Xinmu was only at the 1st level of Nirvana Tribulation Realm. They couldn't even get rid of someone of this level? Originally, they all slowed down a little. Of course, it was not to let Kang Xinmu keep up, but to see Kang Xinmu's flustered and exasperated look. But now, they began to speed up and quickly flew forward. Kang Xinmu, on the other hand, was calm and composed. He followed in the form of a black divine dragon. No matter how fast the other party accelerated, he could always keep up. It was simply driving the other four crazy. It wasn't until Kang Shinmu had been following them for an hour that they finally admitted that they couldn't get rid of this kid with their speed. It seemed that this kid had some ability. We're almost at the Sky Dragon Court. After flying together for about 6 hours, when the sky gradually darkened, the leader of the other party, the calm young man, finally explained to Jiang Shenwu. Then, Kang Shinmu saw a floating palace in the mountains in front of him. The palace was faintly discernible in the clouds above the mountains. It looked like a land of immortals. He could clearly feel that there were divine dragons flying in it. There were even existences that surpassed the level of Yen Dragon Emperor. There was a faint oppressive aura coming from it. Is that the Qingcang Tianlong Court? Kang Shinmu glanced at it and found that the Sky Dragon Court was extremely vast. Added together, it was 100 times larger than the Jiang clan's Great Jiang Dragon City. It almost covered the mountains in front of him. As far as the eye could see, it was the Divine Dragon Palace. However, at this time, Kang Shinmu was a little hesitant. It seemed that it was not suitable for him to enter this place. After all, he would soon become a student of Donghuang Yangwu College. So, he asked the other party, "Everyone, may I ask where is Donghuang Yangwu College? I will go there tonight to see it." Obviously, he saw Tianlong Court in front of him. However, that magnificent scene didn't scare him at all. It didn't even make him stop in his tracks. This made the four of them feel a little defeated, but then they felt a little angry. Originally, they didn't want to bring Kang Shinmu. It was just that Kang Shinmu said that he wanted to see Donghuang Yangwu College. So, they brought him along. In the end, Kang Shinmu didn't care about the Sky Dragon Court at all. It's nearby. Go find it yourself. A girl was very dissatisfied with Kang Shinmu's attitude. He actually showed such disregard for the Sky Dragon Court. It was simply a disgrace to them. I'm afraid that you won't even be able to see the gate of Donghuang Yangwu College before you get kicked out. Another girl also sneered and snorted. However, the calm young man seemed to feel that this wasn't good, or he was unwilling. After all, he was also proud to be a student of Sky Dragon Court. Kang Shinmu looked down on Sky Dragon Court, but he insisted on letting Kang Shinmu go in and have a look. It's already late tonight. Why don't little brother rest in our Sky Dragon Court for the night? The calm young man said politely. In fact, in his heart, he was thinking that as long as Jiang Shenwu was willing to stay, then he would let them bully him for the rest of the night. He must find a way to keep Jiang Shenwu in Qingcang Tianlong Court. As for Kang Shinmu, seeing that the other party refused to reveal the location of Donghuang Yangwu College, he also felt a little troubled. If he knew this would happen, he would have exclaimed in admiration and praised Sky Dragon Court. Now, it seems that he had touched the other party's pride. From Kang Shinmu's understanding, Sky Dragon Court was an organization established by Qingcang Dragon Country in imitation of Donghuang Yangwu College. In terms of quality, it was certainly far worse than Donghuang Yangwu College. However, it was still the elite of Qingcang Dragon Country. The other party must have some awe and envy towards Donghuang Yangwu College, and even jealousy. In that case, he would stay here for the night and then continue his journey tomorrow. Anyway, it was hard to see the direction at night. Tonight, there was still a thin layer of fog in the air. If he hurried, he was afraid that he wouldn't know where he would end up. All right. Thus, Kang Shinmu agreed to temporarily stay in Sky Dragon Court for the night. This result made the calm young man quite satisfied. He smiled and nodded, then said to Kang Shinmu, "Oh right, my name is Biyao. If you have any problems here, you can use my name. It will work under normal circumstances." "Thank you." Since the other party was polite to him, Kang Shinmu would naturally be polite to the other party. However, he noticed that Biao's words contained the word ordinary, which meant that this person wasn't someone who could cover the sky with one hand in Sky Dragon Court. In fact, he wasn't even considered as a strong character. If Kang Shinmu really encountered something, it might not necessarily be useful to look for him. Of course, it was just a temporary stay anyway. There shouldn't be any problems. As Kang Shinmu thought to himself, he followed the other party and flew into the range of Sky Dragon Court. This Qingtsang Heavenly Dragon Court didn't have many guards, but there was an array formation. With Bai Lianyu and the others leading the way, Jiang Shenwu was able to easily pass through the array formation. Then, he discovered that the heaven and earth spirit energy in this Qingtsang Heavenly Dragon Court was too dense, even surpassing the Fire Dragon Empire's imperial city. If one were to cultivate here, even an ordinary dragon martial artist's speed of improvement would be several times faster. Chapter 4152. The other party brought Kang Shinmu to a palace and explained the situation to the person guarding the palace. Then, the other party brought Kang Shinmu to a room in the palace and arranged for him to stay. If it was just a small place, Kang Shinmu might not agree to stay with the other party. However, Qingtsang Tianlong Court was such a big place, the other party wouldn't do something like murder, right? As Kang Shinmu rested in the room, Bai Lianyu and the others naturally left. From Bai Lianyu's body, Kang Shinmu couldn't see any hostility. The other two girls seemed to have a big opinion of him, but it was obvious that Bai Lianyu was the leader of this small group. Since Bai Lianyu made his decision, the others didn't say anything. After rushing for so many days, from the time he broke through to the Nirvana realm in the Demon Emperor Dragon Country to when he was chased and saved by the Arctic snow, Kang Shinmu hadn't rested much. He hoped that he could have a good sleep tonight. Bai Lianyu's identity seemed to be a relatively high-ranking student in Qingtsang Tianlong Court, so he was arranged a room with a good environment. One could even say that this was a courtyard, one of the thousands of courtyards in this guest hall. Kang Shinmu guessed that this place should be used to entertain guests. He rested, closed his eyes, and began to consolidate his cultivation. In the middle of the night, Kang Shinmu suddenly heard a noise coming from outside the door. He couldn't help but frown. The noise was obviously coming towards the courtyard he was staying in. Fortunately, he maintained a trace of vigilance while resting, so he was able to notice this subtle noise. Is it Bai Lianyu and the others who want to make a move? Kang Shinmu frowned, feeling that it was somewhat impossible. Just because he wanted to take a look at Donghuang Yangwu College, the other party wouldn't leave him here, right? Such a person was too narrow-minded. Because of this, Kang Shinmu agreed to stay here for a night. However, he didn't expect the other party to be such a narrow-minded person. Without batting an eyelid, Kang Shinmu quietly walked to the window and looked outside. He couldn't help but stare blankly. The person who came to his courtyard wasn't the black-clothed masked man he had imagined, but a charming young girl. The girl's clothes were half exposed. She seemed to be vigilant of the presence of other people in the surroundings. Then, she slowly approached the room where Kang Shinmu was. This seems to be someone who has just stepped into the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Kang Shinmu thought in his heart. He was slightly puzzled. Why would such a young girl come to his courtyard in the middle of the night? Could it be, just as he thought of a possibility, the girl had already arrived in front of his door, directly opened it, and barged in? She seemed a little nervous, but when she saw Kang Shinmu leaning against the bed, she was a little surprised. You found me? Who are you? What are you doing here? Kang Shinmu asked vigilantly, paying attention to the surrounding situation. I am Yang Yuewu. Let me hide for a while, thank you. She seemed to be a little nervous and quickly explained as if someone was chasing after her. Kang Shinmu frowned and didn't know how to answer. His intuition told him that there might be some kind of conspiracy here. However, to deal with a Nirvana Tribulation realm first stage like him, Qingtsang Tianlong Court shouldn't play any tricks, right? In any case, he was ready to leave this place and go to the courtyard. Up to you. After Kang Shinmu finished his sentence, he planned to leave the room to prove his innocence. However, at this moment, the courtyard outside suddenly emitted a bright light. A few figures jumped in from the outside. They were 5 young dragon warriors with decent strength. Kang Shinmu frowned and noticed that something was wrong. However, the other party didn't intend to give him a chance. They violently barged into the room and pushed the door open. When they saw Kang Shinmu and Yang Yuewu in the same room, their expressions suddenly became extremely cold. "Who are you?" one of them asked Kang Shinmu coldly. Kang Shinmu observed for a moment and found that these 5 young men were at the 4th stage of Nirvana Tribulation Realm. Obviously, this wasn't a coincidence but premeditated. At this time, Yang Yuewu's behavior made Kang Shinmu even more certain of this point. The girls suddenly turned pitiful and begged the group of young men for help. "Senior brothers, please save me. This person wants to molest me. He almost succeeded just now." How dare you molest a student of Qingcang Tianlong Court? You must be tired of living. Arrest him. The young man in the lead did not even think about it and directly prepared to attack Jiang Shinwu. At this time, Kang Shinmu noticed that the girl, Yang Yuewu, gave him a disdainful smile and immediately hid behind the 5 young men. At this moment, how could Kang Shinmu not see that this was a conspiracy against him? The leading young man in black roared. The others wanted to take action. Kang Shinmu naturally wouldn't allow himself to be captured. However, firstly, he couldn't transform into a dragon and fight in the room. Secondly, this was someone else's territory. Fighting rashly wouldn't bring him any benefits. Therefore, when the other party rushed over, Kang Shinmu quickly jumped out of the window and wanted to leave the courtyard. In fact, Kang Shinmu wanted to leave Qingcang Tianlong Court and find Donghuang Yangwu College as soon as possible. That way, these guys wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Otherwise, they would keep chasing after him. However, just as he jumped out of the courtyard, he found that the commotion here had attracted a lot of people. Some of the guests of Qingcang Tianlong Court in the nearby courtyards poked their heads out and observed the situation. Even the guards of Qingcang Tianlong Court's guest hall were rushing over. Kang Shinmu found himself surrounded. Wanting to escape from here was simply impossible. He looked around but didn't see Bai Lianyu, as if this matter had nothing to do with him. However, he knew very well that Bai Lianyu didn't appear just to avoid danger. After all, he was a guest brought by Bai Lianyu. If he took the initiative to target him, it wouldn't be good if word got out. Most likely, Bai Lianyu entrusted someone else to capture him. As for their purpose, Kang Shinmu felt that it was just to teach him a lesson. It was impossible to silence him. After all, Qingcang Tianlong Court wasn't a gathering place for bandits. This was a formal organization of the Qingcang Dragon Country with strict rules. Not to mention, he was still at the guest who came to Qingcang Tianlong Court. In next to no time, Jiang Shinwu was surrounded by many people. Amongst them was the young girl called Yang Yuewu, the 5 young men that had charged in first, and besides them, there were 2 guards of the guest hall. The strength of these 2 guards far exceeded the rebirth tribulation realm, and they might even have attained a higher level, so Jiang Shinwu was absolutely not a match for them. "What is your identity?" the leading young man in black shouted at Kang Shinmu. A guard next to him replied, "It's a guest brought back by Bai Lianyu. If I'm not mistaken, his name is Kang Shinmu." "A guest brought back by Bai Lianyu? Daring to molest our student Yang Yuewu in our Qingcang Tianlong Court, he must have eaten a bear's heart and leopard's gall." Chapter 4153. There wasn't much content left in the Heaven-Swallowing Chronicles. The day after tomorrow, on January 8th, the lunatic would release a new book. Normally, I would start preparing for a new book when there was only a quarter of the previous book's content left. My personality is one that doesn't want to stop, because I'm afraid that I'll get lazy if I stop. Therefore, every time I release a new book, I'll start before the previous book ends. You don't have to worry about the issue of updating the two books, because I have a small amount of saved manuscripts, and I've already adjusted them to the best state. I've been preparing for the new book for more than half a year. Currently, because I'm writing two books, I don't have many manuscripts saved. However, since the new book has been released, it's basically no problem for me to update it. I've already adjusted for a long time, and I'm ready to enter the initial state of writing. This is the state I was in when I was writing the Dragon Blood God of War, maintaining a stable, high-speed, high-quality writing, and updating. The new book is a continuation of the story of the dragon. In the past, I wrote about the bloodline inheritance, but now I'm writing about the spirit and will of the dragon, faith, and totem. It's a brand new story, and it has a certain connection to the old book, the Dragon Blood God of War. The characters in the old book will appear in the new book. Of course, the most important thing is the brand new story and journey. In our culture, the dragon is ancient and profound, and it's the core of our nation's culture. I want to spread the story of the dragon, pass on the dragon spirit and civilization, and let our young people, the next generation, have a greater sense of identity with our own culture. Therefore, after a book, I'm writing about the dragon again. I'll take the unfinished parts of the book, and use a more meticulous and complicated setting to create a better work. The Heaven-Swallowing Chronicles is the xianxia in my heart. Next, I'll return to the fantasy world. Next, I'll return to the lunatic world. After the Heaven-Swallowing Chronicles, I can finally make an excited announcement. Chapter 4154. Follow Frenzied's WeChat account, Feng Qingyang, and reply to him to get a link to his new book. Reply to the WeChat group to get a way to join the WeChat group. Red Packet Event, New Book, Holy Dragon Totem. Chapter 4157. Kang Xinmu coldly looked at these people acting in front of him. He felt a little contempt for this Qingcang Tianlong court. He didn't think that the students of this Qingcang Tianlong court were actually such people. He thought that he didn't provoke Bai Lianyu's group that led him here, but that group seemed to want to deal with him for fun. They specifically called the black-clothed youth and Yang Yuewu in front of him to set up a trap for Kang Xinmu. After listening to the other party's words, Kang Xinmu laughed out loud. What a joke. You guys are lying with your eyes wide open. Why don't you prepare a draft first? At this time, the two powerful guards of the guest hall had already approached. Although there were only two of them, their imposing aura surrounded everyone in the field, making it impossible for them to escape. With a serious expression, they looked at Kang Xinmu's direction, as well as Yang Yuewu and the black-clothed youth. Obviously, they knew the black-clothed youth and Yang Yuewu. At this moment, their expressions towards Kang Xinmu became somewhat unfriendly. Molesting their students in Qingcang Tianlong court, wasn't this too outrageous? Moreover, it was a guest they brought back. However, Kang Xinmu was still keenly aware that the two strongest guards here were not on the same side as Yang Yuewu's group. They should be more impartial. In that case, as long as he can win their trust, there won't be any problems this time. Thus, he explained in a deep voice, Bai Lianyu arranged this residence for me, and the environment is not bad. However, you guys said that I molested Yang Yuewu in my own guest room, which is really inconceivable. Could it be that she sent herself to my door and let me molest her? These words made the two guards feel a bit strange. They didn't see Yang Yuewu enter the guest hall, but Yang Yuewu did appear in Kang Xinmu's room. This was a fact. Logically speaking, even if Kang Xinmu wanted to molest someone, he wouldn't have the ability to bring the other party back to his room, right? The place where the incident happened was in the guest hall, the place where Kang Xinmu was arranged to stay. This was a bit suspicious. However, the girl, Yang Yuewu, at this time, burst into tears and explained, I don't know. When I woke up, I found myself in this strange place. I have never been to the guest hall before. He must have kidnapped me outside and brought me back when no one was paying attention. This explanation was somewhat reasonable. However, it was impossible for Jiang Shenwu to casually bring someone into the guest room of Sky Dragon Court. After all, this kid was only at the first level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. No matter what, come with us to the law enforcement hall first. Let the elders decide. The black-clothed youth glanced at Yang Yuewu. After he finished speaking, he went to Yang Yuewu's side and covered her with his clothes. Yang Yuewu's face was filled with warmth, but when she looked at Kang Shinmu of her, he Tian, Yun, of him. By now, how could Kang Shinmu not know that this was a trap? Qingcang Tian Long Court was such a big organization. It was impossible for him to escape. However, no matter what, he was determined to never admit to molesting Yang Yuewu. How could he admit to something he didn't do? I didn't expect to encounter such a strange thing before heading to Donghuang Yangwu College. Kang Shinmu coldly looked at Yang Yuewu and the black-clothed youth. Hearing how Yang Yuewu addressed him, Kang Shinmu already knew that the black-clothed youth was called Jing Yifeng. He was a young genius at the 7th level of Nirvana Tribulation realm. In the entire Qingcang Tian Long Court, he was one of the best among the younger generation. Bai Lianyu wasn't weak, but he was still weaker than Jing Yifeng. Come with us to the law enforcement hall. I hope you won't deny it. The black-clothed youth, Jing Yifeng, said coldly to Kang Shinmu. Then, he waved his hand and ordered 2 guards to bring Kang Shinmu to the law enforcement hall. It was obvious that the 2 guards did not want to get involved in this matter. Although they felt that it was a little strange, and although they were stronger than Jing Yifeng, they didn't dare to offend such a talented future powerhouse. Therefore, since Jing Yifeng said so, they came forward and prepared to take Kang Shinmu away. Where is the law enforcement hall? I can walk by myself. Kang Shinmu knew that he was in trouble this time. The main reason was that he didn't expect Bai Lianyu and the others to harm him. Therefore, he didn't take any precautions. He was just asking for directions, but the other party set up such a trap. Weren't they too narrow-minded? In any case, this time, Kang Shinmu knew that he wouldn't be able to get away with it. Now, the only thing that could compete with the entire Sky Dragon Court was the East Emperor's seal on his wrist. This was the seal that the Flame Dragon Sacred Tower left for him, indicating that he was qualified to join Donghuang Yangwu College. But now, there was no one from Donghuang Yangwu College around, so he could only bear with it. Otherwise, once the other party found out about his potential and identity, he might be strangled in the cradle. Then, the loss would outweigh the gain. Therefore, not only could he not reveal that he had the East Emperor's seal, but he also had to try his best to hide himself. Unless he could confirm that there was a senior from Donghuang Yangwu College nearby, only then could he be saved. This Tiansang Tian Long Court was like a cage, strangling him to death. Kang Shinmu's eyes became cold. Next, he would have to see what Bai Lianyu and the others wanted to do. He could only watch from the sidelines. Resistance was impossible. Fortunately, the other party didn't want to put him to death. Otherwise, there was no need to set up such a trap just to deal with a foreign wandering dragon warrior. Most likely, they just want to vent their anger. Kang Shinmu's expression became colder and colder. He didn't expect Bai Lianyu and the others to be so narrow-minded. At this moment, he could only remember everything that he had experienced so far. Following that, Kang Shinmu didn't resist at all. When he arrived at the law enforcement hall, Bai Lianyu and the others came right after. However, this person still behaved gracefully, pretending to know nothing and even pretended to plead for Kang Shinmu. However, Kang Shinmu could see that in Bai Lianyu's eyes, there was a hidden pleasure. It seemed that he was very excited because he framed Kang Shinmu. Just because I asked for the direction of Donghuang Yangwu College? The more Jiang Shenwu thought about it, the more he felt that these people from Tian Long Court were unreasonable. However, it was impossible for him to say anything right now. In any case, whatever he said would be wrong and wouldn't help the situation. In the law enforcement hall, a senior mentor from Sky Dragon Court decided to imprison Kang Shinmu in the Sin Keeper Tower for a year, saying that this was the lightest punishment for trying to molest Yang Yuewu. Bai Lianyu also pleaded for Kang Shinmu, and in the end, the time was reduced to half a year. When all of this happened, Kang Shinmu didn't say a single word because he knew that since the other party had already set up a trap, it was impossible to give him a chance to struggle. Sin Keeper Tower, half a year. Kang Shinmu could only let the other party take him away and imprison him in the dark Sin Keeper Tower. This was the place in Sky Dragon Court to deal with students who committed mistakes. Of course, if there were any people who harmed Sky Dragon Court, they would also be imprisoned here. Of course, Kang Shinmu was wrongly accused, but he firmly remembered those three names: Bai Lianyu, Jing Yifeng, Yang Yuewu. Chapter 4158. During the 6 months in the Sin Guarding Tower, Kang Shinmu had a hard time. However, he was very patient. If it was someone else, they would have already displayed the East Emperor's seal on their wrist to show their identity as a student of Donghuang Yangwu College. However, he was keenly aware that this Sky Dragon Court was not as simple as it seemed. Previously, he had only slightly revealed that he wanted to go to Donghuang Yangwu College and provoked Bai Lianyu and the others to frame him. If they really knew his identity, wouldn't he suffer more serious persecution? He was only imprisoned for half a year, so his life would not be in danger. However, once he displayed the East Emperor's seal, his life might even be threatened. In this 6 months, it was impossible for Kang Shinmu to cultivate. There was basically no improvement in his realm. However, he still secretly cultivated the dragon martial skills that he had learned, including the origin source dragon martial skill, Void Dragon Sky Raising Break. Although there was no breakthrough, Kang Shinmu had consolidated these dragon martial skills. The power that he could exert was 10 to 20% more than before. This could be considered a good result. Originally, he could rely on the Holy Dragon's blood essence to compete with the 5th or even 6th level Nirvana realm Heavenly Dragon's blood essence inheritors. But now, he basically wouldn't lose to the 6th level Heavenly Dragon's blood essence inheritors. Although he had been imprisoned for half a year and had lost his freedom for half a year, in this half a year, he was still able to calm his heart and consolidate all the dragon martial skills that he had cultivated in the past. This way, he would be able to use the dragon martial skills more easily. Moreover, his Nirvana force had also been enhanced during this period. Although it was far from breaking through to the 2nd level of Nirvana realm, it was still an improvement. After waiting for half a year, he finally came out of the Sin Guarding Tower. The guards of the Sin Guarding Tower directly let him go and banished him. They even said that he would not be allowed to take half a step closer to Sky Dragon Court. Kang Shinmu, of course, didn't want to come to this place again. However, he secretly sneered. When he comes here again, it will be the doomsday of the entire Tianlong Court. At the very least, Bai Lianyu, Jing Yifeng, and Yang Yuewu, he must make them pay the price. Those who harmed others would be destroyed by the heavens. Jiang Shenwu did not want to get into any trouble, but these 3 people had gone too far. They had imprisoned him for half a year because of a disagreement. This could be said to be a deep hatred. Kang Shinmu would probably be able to reach the 2nd level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm in half a year's time. But now, even if this half a year's time wasn't wasted, the utilization rate wasn't high either. Let's head to Donghuang Yangwu College first. Kang Shinmu's expression was dark. Luckily, he was in the Sin Guarding Tower and didn't suffer any harsh punishment. He was only locked up for half a year. This was good news for him. As for Bai Lianyu pleading for him to be imprisoned for half a year, that was naturally hypocritical. One could clearly see the disdain and excitement in his eyes. Thinking of the situation at that time, Kang Shinmu clenched his fists. He was still too naive. One must always be on guard against others. From now on, he mustn't be careless when he encounters anyone. There was no need to follow the other party to the other party's territory to prevent himself from being harmed. Fortunately, he was still alive this time. During this time, the black dragon's consciousness basically didn't appear. Obviously, he didn't encounter any fatal danger. It was impossible for the black dragon's consciousness to come out to help him. He could only rely on himself. Donghuang Yangwu College. Kang Xinmu came out from the Sin guarding tower of Sky Dragon Court and found a city. After asking around, he found the direction of Donghuang Yangwu College. After flying for 3 days and 3 nights, he finally saw a magnificent building in the clouds. It was Donghuang Yangwu College. Countless buildings in the clouds formed the shape of a divine dragon. From the dragon's head to the dragon's tail, it spanned thousands of miles. It was as if a dragon king was overlooking the world. This was the first time Kang Xinmu came here, and he was completely shocked by this scene. As expected of one of the 4 strongest colleges in the entire Dragon Martial continent, Donghuang Yangwu College. In this college, every student is able to pass the 5th floor of the Saint Tower. All of them are geniuses. Kang Xinmu couldn't help but feel excited. Originally, he should have come here half a year ago. But because of a moment of carelessness, he fell into a trap and was trapped for half a year. Now that he finally arrived in front of Donghuang Yangwu College, he felt high-spirited. Around him, there would occasionally be some heavenly dragon-level dragon warriors heading towards Donghuang Yangwu College. However, they did not go to the college building in the sky. Instead, they went to the Donghuang Yangwu College on the ground. This Donghuang Yangwu College was the place where Donghuang Yangwu College communicated with the outside world. Generally speaking, no one could enter the Donghuang Yangwu College alone. Even students who were qualified to join Donghuang Yangwu College had to report in the Donghuang Yangwu College for the first time and be escorted by the college's seniors. In the Donghuang Yangwu College, there were many powerful dragon warriors from the surrounding sacred dragon country. They opened shops and sold some items. It could be said that this was the closest trading market to Donghuang Yangwu College. Even the largest trading market in the Azure Dragon country could not compare to the scale of the Donghuang Yangwu College. This was because those who appeared in the Donghuang Yangwu College were all top-notch dragon warriors in the continent. Any random student from Donghuang Yangwu College could cause a huge commotion in the Azure Dragon country. If they were to start a massacre, it would be a reign of terror. Of course, such a huge city would have everything in its trading market. Even the origin source dragon martial skills would appear in the Donghuang Yangwu College's trading market. Therefore, not only would many Donghuang Yangwu College students come to the Donghuang Yangwu College to buy items, but there would also be many dragon warriors from other countries who would travel thousands of miles to buy some precious items. These items were rare in other places, but they were very common in Donghuang Yangwu College. As for the currency used in the Donghuang Yangwu College, it was the Donghuang Yangwu dollar. This currency was issued by Donghuang Yangwu College. Foreign currencies could not be used in the Donghuang Yangwu College, but it could be exchanged for Donghuang Yangwu dollar at the city's trading market. In the entire eastern region of the Dragon Martial continent, within the jurisdiction of Donghuang Yangwu College, the Donghuang Yangwu dollar could be said to be the currency with the highest purchasing power. It was more precious than any other country's currency. There were too many geniuses here. Even if Kang Xinmu transformed into the sacred dragon's successor and appeared, he would not attract too much attention. Chapter 4159. Kang Xinmu had finally arrived at the Donghuang Yangwu city after much difficulty. He stopped at the entrance of the Donghuang Yangwu city and quickly found out that if one was not an inheritor of the blood essence of a sacred dragon, he would have to pay 5 Donghuang dragon martial coins to enter the Donghuang Yangwu city. Don't underestimate the value of these 5 Donghuang dragon martial coins. In a place like the Yan Dragon Dynasty, one could purchase a Grade 2 Dragon Martial Technique Cultivation Manual. It was obvious that it wasn't that easy to obtain Donghuang dragon martial coins. At least, ordinary dragon martial artists were not qualified to enter. Of course, Kang Xinmu did not have any Donghuang dragon martial coins with him. However, he was an inheritor of the blood essence of a sacred dragon. Therefore, he showed his divine dragon form to let the guards in. It was rare to see such a young inheritor of the blood essence of a sacred dragon, even in the Donghuang Longwu city. Therefore, when Kang Xinmu appeared, many people were surprised. Looks like the Donghuang Longwu city will have another student. Many people were discussing in private. Every student in the Donghuang Longwu city was an extremely powerful existence. There were even a few who could reach the level of a super divine dragon after graduation, surpassing the level of the dragon martial mainland, which was enviable. Once a student became a super divine dragon, he would become the subordinate of a supreme divine dragon, which was equivalent to reaching the sky in a single bound. If such a person appeared in the dragon martial mainland, everyone, including the dragon emperor, would have to bow down and worship him. The dean of Donghuang Yangwu College was a super divine dragon. This was a secret in the Donghuang Longwu city. Kang Xinmu soon stepped into the Donghuang Longwu city. He immediately started asking around to join the Donghuang Yangwu College and where he needed to go. Soon, he found a place to register for the college. It was the city lord's mansion located at the center of the Eastern Emperor Dragon Martial City. It was an incomparably magnificent palace. It was said that this palace was the residence of the students and teachers of Donghuang Yangwu College in Donghuang Dragon Martial City. Every student of Donghuang Yangwu College could have a hall in this palace, which was well equipped and had an elegant environment. It was even more luxurious than the palaces of other Dragon Emperor empires. After all, this was the best place in the entire martial dragon continent. When Kang Xinmu arrived in front of the palace in the center, he saw that the palace's door was wide open and anyone could enter. However, if there was no reason for anyone to enter, they would definitely be chased out. The entire palace complex was extremely vast, with no end in sight. When Kang Xinmu flew over from afar, he noticed that there was a palace complex in the center of the Donghuang Dragon Martial City. He didn't expect that this was where the students of Donghuang Yangwu College would register and live. For the past 6 months, he had been imprisoned in Qingcang Tianlong Court. Now that he came out, he found that compared to Donghuang Yangwu College, the Qingcang Tianlong Court was far inferior. The entire Qingcang Tianlong Court was not even as magnificent as the central palace complex of Donghuang Yangwu College in the Donghuang Dragon Martial City. Not to mention the group of sky palaces in the form of divine dragons in the clouds. When Kang Xinmu arrived in front of the central palace complex, he finally heaved a sigh of relief. He had finally reached his destination. The process of joining Donghuang Yangwu College shouldn't be too complicated. After all, Donghuang Yangwu College only recognized the East Emperor seal. As long as a dragon martial artist had the East Emperor seal, they would be qualified to join Donghuang Yangwu College. However, when he was about to take a step forward, a voice suddenly came from behind. "Little brother, is this the registration area of Donghuang Yangwu College?" Kang Xinmu was stunned when he heard this. This voice seemed to be talking to him. He turned around and saw a young man dressed like a beggar. He had a piece of dried grass hanging from his mouth and was asking him a question. This young man looked sloppy, but his eyes had a shrewd glint. This was an expert. Kang Xinmu immediately reacted. To enter the Donghuang Dragon Martial City, one had to pay 5 Donghuang Dragon Martial coins. This young man didn't look like someone who could pay. Therefore, don't be fooled by his young age. He must be a sacred dragon's blood essence inheritor. Faintly, Kang Xinmu felt that this person was stronger than him, mainly because he felt a kind of pressure from this person. This is the place. Kang Xinmu nodded his head and said indifferently. After saying this, he walked towards the main entrance of the palace. The beggar hurriedly followed him and patted his shoulder. "Little brother, wait for me. You're also here to register at Donghuang Yangwu College, right? Let's go together. It's my first time coming to such a big place, so I'm a little nervous. Let's go together then." Kang Xinmu nodded his head. This young man seemed to be quite cheerful. Moreover, if they were going to join Donghuang Yangwu College in the future, there was no need to become enemies with him. The two of them stepped into the central palace together, attracting the attention of many people on the street. Those people were all shocked. Usually, it would be considered good if there was one dragon martial artist registering in a year. But now, there were two young men arriving on the same day? This was simply too strange. Those who could come to Donghuang Longwu City had good eyesight. They could tell at a glance that Kang Xinmu and the beggar were extraordinary. Although their clothes were a little shabby, there was no doubt that they were extremely strong. The essence, qi, and spirit that belonged to the inheritors of the divine dragon blood essence couldn't deceive these people who had been fighting with experts all year round. As they stepped into the central palace, the news that two young experts were going to join Donghuang Yangwu College immediately spread. Many people in charge of the chambers of commerce in Donghuang Longwu City began to make preparations and rushed to the entrance of the central palace with good stuff. To them, this was another good opportunity to rope in students. Every student of Donghuang Yangwu College was a huge treasure to them. Once they obtained the support of even one of them, the overall strength of their chambers of commerce would increase by a lot. Therefore, before Kang Xinmu and the beggar came out, the people in charge of the major chambers of commerce had already gathered outside the central palace. A total of dozens of chambers of commerce had come. They were all from the major Dragon Emperor Empire, including the Azure Dragon Kingdom's Azure Chamber of Commerce. One could imagine how respected a student of Donghuang Yangwu College was. Unfortunately, the people in charge of the Azure Chamber of Commerce probably didn't know that Kang Xinmu had just been released after being imprisoned for half a year by the people of Azure Sky Dragon Court. Otherwise, when he returned, he would probably tear down Azure Sky Dragon Court. For a student of Donghuang Yangwu College, even if they had to tear down Azure Sky Dragon Court, so what? Chapter 4160. Eastern Emperor Dragon Martial City, Central Palace. Kang Xinmu and the beggar stepped into the entrance of this palace together. In fact, the current Kang Xinmu was also dressed very sloppily, just slightly better than the beggar. It seems that in the process of finding Donghuang Yangwu College, this beggar had suffered a lot. I am Chuyi, what about you? The beggar's character was quite cheerful. After entering, he immediately started chatting with Kang Xinmu. Kang Xinmu. Kang Xinmu replied. Where are you from? The beggar, Chuyi, continued to ask curiously. Yan Dragon Emperor Dynasty, have you heard of it? After Kang Xinmu came out, he felt that the Yan Dragon Emperor Dynasty was quite remote, and not many people had heard of it. However, after Chuyi heard it, his eyes suddenly lit up. I have heard of it, I have heard of it. Actually, I came from the south, but I took a big detour. When I reached the Yan Dragon Emperor Dynasty, I realized that I had taken a wrong turn. I had to turn back, spending 3 years. When Jiang Shenwu heard this, he immediately prostrated himself in admiration towards this fellow. Amazing, he actually took a big detour and spent 3 years to reach here. This was much more tortuous than Kang Xinmu's journey. Kang Xinmu used the ancient spacetime array belonging to the beasts to reach here quickly. He was trapped in Tiansang Tianlong Court for half a year, which made Kang Xinmu feel that he had spent too much time. In the end, this Chuyi actually spent 3 years and took a big detour from the south to the north. He even went to the remote Yan Dragon Emperor Dynasty. Kang Xinmu could only express his admiration for him. Then, the relationship between both sides became closer, and they began to talk about what they saw and heard along the way. Kang Xinmu didn't have much to say. First of all, he couldn't say much about the ancient spacetime array. As for the matter regarding Tiansang Tianlong Court, Kang Xinmu casually talked about it. He didn't feel that it was a shameful thing. After all, he was just a junior. Falling into that situation and being imprisoned by the other party, he had no choice. What? Tiansang Tianlong Court actually did such a shameless thing? When Chuyi heard this, he was immediately shocked. No wonder I found them so unpleasing to the eye when I saw them before. Brother Shenwu, don't worry. Once I finish reporting here, I will accompany you to turn Tian Long Court upside down. At that time, they would be the disciples of Donghuang Yangwu College. Who would dare to be disrespectful to them? Kang Xinmu could feel that this Chu Yi was a few years older than him. In terms of cultivation, he was 3 to 4 levels higher than him. Of course, in terms of combat strength, Kang Xinmu wouldn't necessarily lose to the other party. It was just that this Chu Ye's strength was definitely not weak. Currently, Kang Xinmu couldn't see through his true depth. Soon, the two of them moved forward and arrived at the front hall of this central palace complex. It was called Recruiting Hall. Obviously, this was the place where the students of Donghuang Yangwu College reported. In this place, Jiang Shenwu and Chu Yi, who were far away, could feel a tyrannical aura coming from it. This aura is much stronger than the Yen Dragon Emperor. Kang Xinmu's expression suddenly froze. The Yen Dragon Emperor's strength was naturally the strongest in the Yen Dragon Emperor Empire. However, after leaving the Yen Dragon Emperor Empire, he was nothing in the other Dragon Emperor empires. Among the Dragon Emperors, the Yen Dragon Emperor's strength could be said to be at the lower end. However, the aura coming from the hall made Kang Xinmu feel a sense of oppression. That feeling was stronger than all the Dragon Emperor powerhouses he had met along the way. It even made it difficult for him to breathe. Of course, this kind of oppression didn't have much effect on Kang Xinmu. It only made his expression more dignified. The same went for Chu Yi. How could someone who could oversee the center of the Eastern Emperor Dragon Martial City be an ordinary person? He must be one of the top powerhouses in Donghuang Yangwu College. As the two of them arrived at the entrance of the hall, an old but spirited voice came into their ears, "Come in." Obviously, the other party had already sensed their presence and invited them into the hall. He didn't chase us out, which means that he discovered the seal of the Eastern Emperor in our hands from far away. What kind of cultivation does he have? Kang Xinmu was even more afraid of the old voice. Under such circumstances, he couldn't resist whatever the other party wanted to do. Although there shouldn't be any accidents here, there was always a possibility. Kang Xinmu still maintained a cautious attitude. Very soon, he and Chu Yi stepped into the palace and saw an old man sitting at the front. He did not seem to give off a suffocating pressure. In fact, at this moment, the pressure around them had completely disappeared. From the looks of it, the white-haired old man looked just like an ordinary old man. Junior Kang Xinmu greets Senior. Kang Xinmu took a step forward and greeted him respectfully. Chu Yi did the same, but his attitude was a bit sloppy. The grass in his mouth was still in his mouth, and he said with a lisp, "Junior Chu Yi greets Senior of Donghuang Yangwu College." "You too, ha ha ha." The old man laughed, his eyes narrowed into slits, and he kept sizing up Kang Xinmu and Chu Yi. This old man is at most a gatekeeper in Donghuang Yangwu College. You can call me Elder Han. This old man has already checked your seal of the Eastern Emperor. I will inform the 2 teachers to come down and choose one of you as a student. 2 teachers, 2 students. This meant that Kang Xinmu and Chu Yi couldn't train under one teacher. But it didn't matter, the two of them had just met. "Elder Han, can you tell us about the situation of Donghuang Yangwu College?" Chu Yi was bold, and he walked around the hall, looking left and right like a curious baby. Elder Han began to explain some things. First, Donghuang Yangwu College's training was arranged by the teachers. Every student who had just joined Donghuang Yangwu College would be assigned a teacher. In the entire Donghuang Yangwu College, there were a total of 19 Dragon Emperor Realm teachers. Now, every teacher basically had 4 or 5 students under them, and these students were the focus of the teacher's training. Kang Xinmu listened to Elder Han and calculated. Donghuang Yangwu College only had a total of 100 students. Even if the Dragon Emperor Realm graduates were included, there would only be a few hundred people at most. In this way, there were a total of 4 Dragon Emperor colleges in the north, south, east, and west. Currently, there were no more than 500 students. This number was much less than Kang Shinmu had expected. It seems that there aren't many geniuses who can pass the 5th level of the Holy Tower of Fire Dragon. Kang Shinmu sighed in his heart. Chapter 4161. Kang Shinmu and Chuyi waited in the hall. During this time, Kang Shinmu carefully observed the situation in the hall. He did not walk around but only observed the environment in private. Chuyi, on the other hand, was quite bold. He walked around the hall, touching things here and there. Fortunately, Old Han did not stop him or say anything. He just closed his eyes and rested, waiting for the arrival of the tutor of Donghuang Yangwu College. Not long after, 2 dragon roars came from the sky outside. These dragon roars shook the sky as if they came from beyond the sky. They pierced through Kang Shinmu's eardrums and shocked him. Even a dragon emperor like Yen Dragon Emperor could not have such power. Now it seemed that the tutor of Donghuang Yangwu College was much stronger than Yen Dragon Emperor. Kang Shinmu had not reached that level yet, so he could not feel how big the gap between them was. But he was sure that if Dragon Emperor Yen was here, he would most likely be shocked by the dragon roars in the sky. Very soon, as the dragon's roar gradually dissipated, 2 majestic figures walked into the hall. The 2 silhouettes were a man and a woman. The middle-aged man had short white hair and looked incomparably handsome. His eyes seemed to have been refined from the stars, and there was some kind of terrifying rune power flowing in them, which was shocking to see. This man's divine dragon blood should have something to do with the attribute of stars. He was a genuine dragon emperor, and even surpassed the ordinary dragon emperor. He was the strongest existence among the dragon emperors. As for the other young woman, her entire body was covered in frost. Her face was extremely beautiful, but it was filled with incomparable coldness. She wore a snow-white dress, and ice crystals danced around her, causing the temperature of the entire hall to drop. The 2 of you are here? These 2 brats are here to register together. According to the rules, under such circumstances, Tan Shoujua can choose 1 student first. Old Man Han's expression didn't change in the slightest when he saw the 2 of them. He only smiled and reminded them. Tan Shoujua must be referring to the middle-aged astral divine dragon. Elder Han had told Kang Shinmu and the others that the tutors of Donghuang Yangwu College recruited students according to the order in which they took turns. It was obvious that the middle-aged man, Tan Shoujua, was the first to take his turn. However, because Jiang Shenwu and Chuyi had come together, and there were 2 students with them, the relatively young girl had also come with them. If that's the case, Chu Yueqiang, I'll pick first. The middle-aged man seemed to be a bit serious. Although there was a beauty beside him, he did not even look at her. He only kept sizing up Kang Shinmu and Chuyi, who was walking around the hall. After a while, he pouted at Chuyi and said, "Brat, come with me." "What's your name?" At first, Kang Shinmu thought that since the middle-aged man had spoken, Chuyi would have no choice but to agree. However, when Chuyi heard this, he immediately spat out the grass in his mouth and asked with widened eyes, "What? Shouldn't I be the one choosing my tutor?" "No way, I want a beautiful tutor." His behavior gave Kang Shinmu a fright. This brat was really outrageous. He didn't expect that he would dare to flirt in front of the Dragon Emperor tutors of Donghuang Yangwu College. It was really admirable. However, the middle-aged man, Tan Shoujua's face quickly darkened. When he said this, Old Han, Tan Shoujua, and the young female tutor, Chu Yueqiang, all looked at Chuyi. "What nonsense are you talking about? Get over here." Tan Shoujua's face darkened. He raised his hand and a wave of starlight condensed into a large hand. He actually wanted to pull Chuyi over through the air. Chuyi was naturally displeased. He subconsciously wanted to resist, and even wanted to transform into his divine dragon form. However, before he could move, he was grabbed by the starlight. There was no room for him to resist at all. The difference between the two was really too big. Tan Shoujua only waved his hand and completely restrained Chuyi. Let's go. Chu Yueqiang, I will teach this brat a good lesson when we get back. Tan Shouzhua carried Chu Yi with one hand as easily as if he was carrying a doll. After saying this to the young woman, he turned around and left the hall. The process was simple and clear. It was so fast that it was a little unbelievable. There was not even any superfluous words. Tan Shouzhua was indeed very strong. If he chose first, who knew what he saw in Chu Yi? Could it be that in Tan Shouzhua's eyes, Chu Ye's talent surpassed his? Kang Xinmu couldn't help but think. However, he quickly dispelled his doubts. Little friend Kang Xinmu, that Tan Shouzhua is famous for being a tough guy. He loves to teach those who don't listen. You were too obedient just now, so he wasn't interested in you. Old Han explained with a smile. Hearing this, Kang Xinmu suddenly felt a little awkward. In that situation, as a junior, he could only stand and listen to orders, right? However, that Chu Yi was actually so arrogant. It seemed that after being brought over by Tan Shouzhua, he would definitely not feel good at the beginning. Next, Kang Xinmu naturally had to follow that young woman, Chu Yueqiang, as his mentor. After sizing her up, Kang Xinmu realized that this beautiful mentor actually didn't have any expression from the beginning until now. She always had a cold expression. Even when Chu Yi said those disrespectful words, her expression didn't change. After Tan Shouzhua left with Chu Yi, she waved at Kang Xinmu and said, "Let's go." Her voice was as clear as an oriole, making people feel a little numb. However, it carried a kind of indifference that pushed people 1,000 miles away. It was as if everything in this world had nothing to do with her. Kang Xinmu didn't care. In any case, it was the same as everyone else. It was fine as long as he could learn something. This beautiful mentor named Chu Yueqiang was definitely an existence more tyrannical than Dragon Emperor Yan. If he cultivated under her, he should be able to gain many unexpected benefits. However, Kang Xinmu's understanding of Donghuang Yangwu College was still too little. He didn't know how the mentors arranged each student. Old Han, this junior will take his leave. After Kang Xinmu said goodbye to Old Han, he followed Chu Yueqiang out. He vaguely felt that this Old Han was definitely not just a simple gatekeeper for Donghuang Yangwu College. Looking at Tan Shouzhua and Chu Yueqiang's attitude towards him, there was even a trace of respect hidden within. He could tell that Old Han definitely had another identity. Unfortunately, Kang Xinmu couldn't guess the specifics. Moreover, the gap between him and these existences was too big. There were many things that were useless even if he told them. It's better to peacefully cultivate and see what's so special about this Donghuang Yangwu College. It actually has the confidence to let every student step into the Dragon Emperor level. Chapter 4162. Donghuang Yangwu College was located in the eastern part of the Dragon Martial Continent. It was the largest college in the eastern region, and also the only official college in the eastern region. The so-called official meant that this Donghuang Yangwu College was established by the Supreme Dragon Emperor who ruled the entire Dragon Martial Continent. Its purpose was to nurture more Dragon Emperor experts. The most important thing was the birth of the Supreme Dragon Emperor, who could become the subordinates of the Supreme Dragon Emperor. Kang Xinmu followed Chu Yueqiang and flew all the way to Donghuang Yangwu College. It was a group of dragon-shaped buildings in the sky, majestic and magnificent. Under the cover of the white clouds, the whole college was like a giant dragon swimming in the clouds. Chu Yueqiang transformed into a dragon and flew. She was indeed an ice divine dragon, but her bloodline was incomparably pure. For the time being, Kang Xinmu could not tell what kind of divine dragon blood essence it was. He only knew that this divine dragon blood essence was definitely more powerful than Shi Yueying's quintuple mysterious ice dragon. As Chu Yueqiang passed through an invisible barrier, Kang Xinmu felt that he had entered an area with incomparably rich heaven and earth spiritual energy. This area was the real Donghuang Yangwu College. He saw the sun rising in the distance, shining on the sky and the earth. the buildings in the clouds were faintly discernible. The rich heaven and earth spiritual energy surrounded him. Cultivating in such an environment, the speed of improvement would be several times faster than in the outside world. It was no wonder that when Dragon Emperor Yan mentioned this Donghuang Yangwu College, his eyes were so envious, as if he really wanted to come here. Moreover, Kang Xinmu felt that the heaven and earth spiritual energy in Donghuang Yangwu College contained a special kind of energy. If this energy was absorbed for a long time, it could actually help a dragon martial artist's divine dragon blood essence improve continuously. I'm afraid that Donghuang Yangwu College has a way to raise a dragon martial artist to the Dragon Emperor realm. Kang Xinmu was shocked. He had never seen any place with such energy that could raise the level of a dragon martial artist's essence and blood. Perhaps only existences at the level of the Supreme Divine Dragon could seize such power and gather it in an area to cultivate desired talents. With this kind of energy in this area, Kang Xinmu felt that it wouldn't take long for him to advance from the Holy Dragon Realm to the Dragon King Realm. Even reaching the Dragon Emperor Realm was only a matter of time. The crux of the matter was, how did Donghuang Yangwu College cultivate, and how would Chu Yueqiang teach him? Kang Xinmu didn't think too much about it, and quickly followed Chu Yueqiang to Donghuang Yangwu College. The academy's resources are limited. You should have felt it. There is a kind of power in the academy that can raise the rank of the dragon martial artist's blood essence. This kind of power is very rare. Even the students of the academy have to compete for it. Chu Yueqiang finally spoke, but her voice was still cold. It wasn't that she didn't want to pay attention to Kang Xinmu, but her personality had always been like this. He didn't know what could attract her attention. Kang Xinmu nodded, yes. He looked around and found that the mysterious power outside the academy wasn't very strong. Following Chu Yueqiang to the vicinity of the academy's buildings, he could feel the existence of that power even more clearly. The closer you get to the center of the academy, the denser this energy becomes. Therefore, I encourage you all to continuously advance towards the inner parts of the academy through challenges. As for the specific rules and regulations, I will give you a small booklet later. It will all be recorded inside. As Chu Yueqiang spoke, she led Jiang Shenwu to a palace within the clouds. This palace was almost as big as some of the imperial palaces of the Dragon Emperor Empire. The entire palace seemed to be empty, and such a palace could only be considered ordinary in the entire Donghuang Yangwu College. Kang Xinmu looked around. There were too many such palaces in the middle of the clouds in front of him. From afar, the entire Donghuang Yangwu College was like a soaring divine dragon. Speaking of which, the palace in front of him was basically just a dragon scale on the body of the soaring divine dragon. From afar, it was not eye-catching at all. This will be your residence for a period of time. Chu Yueqiang said to Kang Xinmu, in the palace, you can find a booklet called Academy Guidebook. Read it first and then come find me after. After saying this, Chu Yueqiang raised her hand. Kang Xinmu felt a chill on his wrist. Immediately after, he found that the East Emperor's seal on his wrist had disappeared. Replacing it was an ice crystal rose pattern, which seemed to represent Chu Yueqiang. This symbol is the symbol of a mentor. Kang Xinmu knew this, but he did not think too much about it. He watched as Chu Yueqiang transformed into an ice divine dragon and flew away. Soon, she disappeared in the fairyland-like clouds. He walked towards the palace in front of him. This entire palace belonged to him, which made him feel like he was in a dream. After all, no matter how talented he had been in the past, he had never received such attention. Now, it seemed that this Donghuang Yangwu College was indeed the top cultivation place in the entire Dragon Martial continent. Any random student could have such an excellent environment to cultivate and live in. No wonder I need to break through the 5th level of the Holy Tower of Fire Dragon to be qualified to enter this college. This is really shocking. When Kang Xinmu stepped into the palace, he first walked around and found that the palace was indeed very big. In the palace, there were even some dragon soldier halls and dragon martial halls. Among them, there were even dragon-grade dragon weapons placed casually. It was obvious that they were prepared for him. Dragon-grade dragon weapons were on the same level as the heavenly sacred halberd that Kang Shinmu had. Above them, only dragon-grade dragon weapons were stronger. In the Dragon Soldier Hall, there were no dragon-grade dragon weapons, but the entire Donghuang Yangwu College definitely had them. It was just a matter of whether one was qualified to obtain them. In the Dragon Martial Hall, there were all kinds of dragon martial techniques below second grade. There were dozens of second-grade dragon martial techniques. In the ordinary Dragon Emperor Empire, each of them was enough to make a dragon martial artist family go bankrupt. But here, they were just placed casually, as if they were not valuable at all. Kang Shinmu could also imagine that in Donghuang Yangwu College, there must be many dragon martial artists who cultivated the source dragon martial techniques, as well as dragon-grade dragon martial techniques below second grade that had reached the highest level, heaven grade. Any random dragon martial technique manuals written by them would be enough to fill up the entire dragon martial hall. Is this the booklet that the tutor mentioned? Kang Shinmu came to the main hall. In the center, there was a booklet floating in the air, enshrouded by the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. He went forward to take a look, and sure enough, the cover was engraved with the words, College Guide. Kang Shinmu knew that if he wanted to understand Donghuang Yangwu College, this was the best opportunity, so he could not wait to open the booklet. Chapter 4163. After a long time, Kang Shinmu realized that the booklet could make him fall into an illusion and give him a vivid and detailed introduction of the entire Donghuang Yangwu College. He felt that he had come to an independent world, and there was nothing in the sky. But soon, floating palaces appeared in front of him one after another. These palaces gradually formed the shape of the current Donghuang Yangwu College, forming a flying divine dragon. Then, there seemed to be an invisible force gathering from the surroundings. Kang Shinmu could even see the roar of a divine dragon coming from the higher sky under the illumination of the starlight. He could even vaguely see the figure of a divine dragon streaking across the sky. It was unknown how long the divine dragon was, but it was probably not much smaller than the entire Donghuang Yangwu College. Could that be the true ruler of the dragon martial continent, the supreme divine dragon, the dragon of calamity? Kang Shinmu thought of this rumor he had heard before and could not help but be fascinated. If that was the form of the supreme divine dragon, then how powerful would the supreme divine dragon be? This Donghuang Yangwu College was created by the supreme divine dragon. As the embryonic form of Donghuang Yangwu College took shape in front of Kang Shinmu, the invisible energy finally filled the entire college. Now, Kang Shinmu finally remembered where he had seen this energy before. It was when he broke through to the 5th level of the Holy Dragon's Holy Pagoda. He absorbed this energy and finally broke through to the Holy Dragon's inheritance blood essence. At this moment, the invisible energy formed 7 distinct areas within the boundaries of Donghuang Yangwu College. Among these 7 areas, the invisible energy was the densest in the central area, and it became thinner the further one went. This made Kang Shinmu think that the students and teachers cultivating in Donghuang Yangwu College must have met some conditions before they could go to the more central area to absorb the denser invisible energy. The closer they were to the center, the faster they could raise the grade of the divine dragon blood essence. Kang Shinmu guessed that he should be in the outermost region, the place where the invisible energy was the weakest. If he wanted to improve faster, he would have to find a way to get closer to the center of the academy. Then, some small words appeared in front of him. These small words recorded the challenge rules of Donghuang Yangwu College. The 7 regions covered by the formless energy, from the center to the outermost, were divided into 7 regions: Dubhe, Merak, Fekta, Migres, Alioth, Mizar, and Alcade. Among them, the Dubhe region had the densest energy. If one cultivated there, one's divine dragon blood essence would improve at the fastest rate. In comparison, the Alcade district was the outermost region. It would take a long time to raise the grade of divine dragon blood essence. It was worth noting that other than the outermost Alcade district, the inner 6 districts all had a limited number of people. Among them, the innermost Dubhe district had a total of 3 places. Among them, the energy was the most abundant, but it was also the most difficult to enter. Only the 3 strongest students of Donghuang Yangwu College were qualified to cultivate in the Dubhe district. Following closely behind was the second place, the Merak district. This Merak district had a total of 7 places, slightly more than the Dubhe district, but it was not easy to enter. The Phekta and Migres districts had 9 and 15 places respectively. The Alioth and Mizar districts also had 15 places. The total number of places for the 6 districts in the inner circle was only slightly more than 60. Compared to the more than 100 students of Donghuang Yangwu College, nearly half of the students could only cultivate in the outermost Alcade district. That was where Kang Xinmu was now. Those who can come to Donghuang Yangwu College are all 1 in a million geniuses among the dragon martial artists. Those who can be ranked at the top are even more outstanding. Now in the centermost Dubhe district, the 3 places for students should all be Dragon Emperor, level Divine Dragon Blood Essence, right? Kang Xinmu thought to himself. This Donghuang Yangwu College was created to cultivate Super Shinran, so the Dragon Emperor level was not the end for them. They must try to continue to move up. No matter whether they succeeded or not, they could not give up. However, it was important to note that if they could not become Super Shinran within 100 years after joining Donghuang Yangwu College, then they would be repatriated. They could only go to the Dragon Martial Continent to establish a new Dragon Emperor Empire, or go to the existing Dragon Emperor Empire to choose to join. In other words, 100 years was the deadline for the students of Donghuang Yangwu College. They must set foot in the level of Super Shinran within this 100 years, otherwise it would be difficult to achieve the level of Super Shinran blood essence. After all these things were introduced, Kang Xinmu's vision blurred. He found himself back in the center of the palace that was arranged for him, and the booklet had disappeared. So that's how it is. This Donghuang Yangwu College is also a place where the competition is fierce. Kang Xinmu's fighting spirit was aroused. Even if there were other geniuses who could break through the 5th level of the Holy Tower, he believed that compared to him, they did not have such good conditions. He did not tell anyone about his devouring ability, and it was also his most hidden and trump card. This was a means to make him stronger quickly. Even if it was only the Alcade district at the outermost periphery of Donghuang Yangwu College, he had a hunch that if he used the devouring ability, he could quickly devour the surrounding energy into his body, so that the level of his divine dragon blood essence would rapidly increase. This was an intuition. Moreover, Jiang Shenwu believed that his intuition was correct. However, he wasn't sure if there would be any big commotion if he were to devour this invisible energy. After all, the booklet had already recorded that this energy had a limit and wasn't limitless. The overall energy of the Alcade district was shared by nearly 50 students. If Kang Xinmu monopolized all this energy, it would definitely attract the attention of the college, and then his devouring ability might be exposed. No matter what, I'll give it a try first. Kang Xinmu was still quite confident in his devouring ability. At least, the effect of him devouring the same amount of invisible energy would definitely be much better than other dragon martial artists directly absorbing it. Of course, now Kang Xinmu also knew that this invisible energy was called Dragon Mark. It was said that it was the energy left behind by some super powerful divine dragon after death. This energy could improve the divine dragon blood essence of a dragon martial artist. My devouring ability to devour the divine dragon's corpse to improve the level of my blood essence seems to be the energy of devouring the dragon mark. The energy of the dragon mark in the dragon bone is much more than the energy of the dragon mark in the flesh of the divine dragon. Jiang Shenwu had finally figured out the principle behind his devouring power. However, for now, knowing this would not allow him to rapidly improve his strength. I can only try devouring the energy of this dragon mark first. Chapter 4164. When Kang Xinmu was in the holy tower of the fire dragon, the dragon mark energy he obtained directly allowed him to reach the level of the divine dragon blood essence of a holy dragon. Even if he had the devouring ability, he would need to devour a large number of Dragon King divine dragon skeletons to advance from a holy dragon to a dragon king. However, the dragon mark energy of Donghuang Yangwu College seemed to come from the remains of a super divine dragon or an even stronger supreme divine dragon. This was like sweet dew after a long drought for Kang Xinmu. He sat down in the hall and tried to devour the dragon mark energy around him. At this time, he was very careful and only tried to devour the dragon mark energy. As his mind calmed down, the dragon mark energy around him constantly gathered around him and was then absorbed into his body by the dark devouring power that emerged from his body. He could feel that after devouring these dragon marks, the divine dragon blood essence in his body was fusing with these dragon marks and continuously increasing his strength during the fusion process. Originally, he had just reached the level of a holy dragon's blood essence, but soon, he felt that the grade of the divine dragon blood essence in his body was improving at a speed that he could feel. If this trend continued, it would take him no more than half a year to advance from a holy dragon to a dragon king. In the college guidebook just now, it described the speed of advancement in the Alcade district that it would take at least 3 years to advance from a holy dragon to a dragon king. This also meant that the efficiency of Kang Xinmu's devouring power to absorb dragon marks was at least 5 times that of an ordinary dragon martial artist. Moreover, this did not mean that he had absorbed more dragon marks, but that the effect of devouring the same number of dragon marks was at least 5 times better than that of others. Even if he cultivated normally, as long as the devouring speed was not too fast, it would not attract others' attention. This made Kang Xinmu a little excited. The dragon mark energy of Donghuang Yangwu College was really surprising. It seems that I can indeed achieve a leap in strength in Donghuang Yangwu College. However, I still have to be careful and must not expose the devouring ability. Otherwise, I'm afraid that even the supreme divine dragon will notice the situation here. Kang Xinmu was now extremely careful. This was because he knew very well that the black dragon consciousness in his body was even an existence that could compete with the legendary ancestral dragon. Although he did not know its specific identity for the time being, Kang Xinmu would never want others to know that there was such an existence in his body. In Donghuang Yangwu College, the black dragon consciousness seemed to be sleeping deeper. It was unknown whether it was afraid of being exposed or it felt that Kang Xinmu would not encounter danger in this place. In any case, having arrived at Donghuang Yangwu College, Kang Xinmu had reached a stage of rapid advancement for him. In this way, he Spirit Long Dragon, Divine Dragon Blood Spirit Long Dragon Clan World, Dragon, a sect, Dragon Blood Essence Dragon Blood Dragon God, that Dragon Devour Dragon Clan, that Dragon Blood of Dragon. This was to that he could that Kang King of the world of Spirit of Dragon. Of course, if Kang Xinmu had the opportunity to devour the dragon mark's energy, the speed of his divine dragon blood essence's upgrade would be at least 10 times faster. In total, it would be at least 50 times faster than others. This was a rather terrifying thing, but once it happened, Kang Xinmu would be in danger of being exposed. There was no need. Even if he cultivated step by step, he would still be much faster than an ordinary dragon warrior, so there was no need to be anxious. In any case, his current cultivation level could not keep up, and he was only at the first level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. No matter how high the grade of the divine dragon's blood essence was, he would not be a match for those old fellows. In that case, I should focus on improving my realm first. However, to improve my realm, I need a huge amount of spiritual chi of heaven and earth, and Donghuang Yangwu College only has enough energy from the dragon mark. Kang Xinmu felt that it was a little troublesome. However, he soon thought of something, which was mentioned in the college guidebook, that the students of Donghuang Yangwu College had the obligation to accept a mission to go out and gain experience every once in a while. After all, the students of the college could not stay in the college and immerse themselves in cultivation every day. If that happened, the grade of the divine dragon's blood essence would increase, but the real combat power would not be able to keep up. This mission to gain experience needs to be accepted once a month. Basically, it is to go to other Dragon Emperor empires and experience some battles. Maybe this is my chance. Kang Shinmu thought to himself, and he also wanted to take this opportunity to ask if there was an existence like the ancient space-time formation in Donghuang Yangwu College. If there was, he could return to the Yen Dragon Emperor Empire every time he wanted to improve. Now, near the sealing dragon abyss of the Yen Dragon Emperor Empire, there were already many armies of the Yen Dragon Emperor Empire stationed there, but it was nothing for Kang Shinmu. This place was originally occupied by him, and now that he had become a student of Donghuang Yangwu College, even the Yen Dragon Emperor had to give him some face, and it was not difficult to arrange a quiet place for him nearby. After thinking about what to do next, Kang Shinmu left the palace where he was. He wanted to go to the central square of the Yaoguang district, to see if there were any recent missions to accept. Speaking of which, since he came to Donghuang Yangwu College, he had not come out for a stroll. He did not even know the situation of the other students of mentor Chu Yueqiang. Kang Shinmu transformed into a dragon and flew. There was no need to hide here. His body, more than 300 feet long black dragon, quickly moved forward, shuttling through the clouds. The entire Yaoguang district of Donghuang Yangwu College was really too big. The whole area of the college was equivalent to half the size of the Yen Dragon Emperor Empire, and the Yaoguang district occupied 1/3 of it. He flew through the clouds, and basically did not see the existence of other dragon martial artists. There were originally very few dragon martial artists here, most of them were still in closed-door training. It was not easy to see other people. However, when he arrived at the Yaoguang district square, he still saw two figures in front of a palace in the clouds, looking at a stone tablet. That stone tablet was the Experience Stone Tablet. Any experience mission that Donghuang Yangwu College had would basically be posted on the Experience Stone Tablet. The college had 7 areas, each area had a Experience Stone Tablet, and the difficulty of each area's experience mission was different. Of course, the Yaoguang district's experience mission was the easiest. Although in Donghuang Yangwu College, the dragon martial artists in the Yaoguang district were the outermost, it could be said that they were the weakest batch of students, but outside, each of them was the most talented genius. Even in a top Dragon Emperor Empire college like the Qingcang Tian Long Court, the most talented student couldn't compare to the weakest student in Donghuang Yangwu College. I wonder who those two are. It shouldn't be such a coincidence that they are mentor Chu Yueqiang students, right? Kang Shinmu thought while approaching the Experience Stone Tablet, and soon found that the two students, one male and one female, seemed to be talking to each other. It seemed that they knew each other, and even seemed to be very familiar with each other. Kang Shinmu didn't have any intention of conversing. After approaching the Experience Stone Tablet, he directly returned to his human form, and then looked at the Experience Stone Tablet, trying to find a suitable experience mission for himself. Chapter 4165. I heard that the instructor has taken in a new student called Kang Shinmu. That should be you, right? When Kang Shinmu arrived, the girl in the white dress sized him up curiously. Her voice was light and pleasant like a kingfisher. That's me. You too are? Kang Shinmu was stunned for a moment before he bowed politely and asked. I'm Qin Fengyu, and he's Lu Hua. We're both students of instructor Chu Yueqiang, and we just happened to bump into each other. Why don't we accept the same experience? The girl chuckled. She was very curious about Kang Shinmu, so she actually wanted to accept the experience together with him. Sure, Kang Shinmu, but it depends on whether you're willing to come with us. The young man beside her, Lu Hua, was cultured and elegant. He was dressed in black and was very polite to Kang Shinmu. His handsome face always had a smile on it. Since the two seniors are willing to bring this junior along, I'm naturally willing. Kang Shinmu smiled. Since they were both students of Chu Yueqiang, there shouldn't be much scheming between them. Most importantly, whether it was Lu Hua or Qin Fengyu, their smiles were incomparably sincere, and he couldn't see anything sinister. Since that's the case, you can choose your mission. Lu Hua elegantly made way for Kang Shinmu and smiled gently at him. Kang Shinmu nodded. He had a good impression of these two students. He looked at the experience stone tablet and saw a mission at a glance. It actually required students to head to the Azure Dragon Nation and exterminate a bloodthirsty and ferocious demon beast. Among the demon beasts, there were good ones that had saved Kang Shinmu, but there were also vicious ones that killed indiscriminately. These demon beasts were a disaster for ordinary dragon practitioners. The demon beast in the Azure Dragon Nation was a fiery golden eyes wild lion. Its bloodline was comparable to the Dragon King's, and its strength was comparable to the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Even the Azure Dragon Kingdom would need to dispatch a relatively powerful existence to deal with this level of power. Therefore, he might as well submit it to Donghuang Yangwu College and let the students handle it. He didn't need to pay the students anyway. Brother Jiang, what do you think of the Azure Dragon Kingdom? You don't look very happy. At this moment, the young lady, Qin Fengyu, noticed the change in Jiang Shinwu's gaze and asked curiously. It's nothing. Kang Shinmu shook his head and casually said, it's just that when I first arrived, I was framed once in Qingcang Tianlong Court and was locked up for half a year. What? When Qin Fengyu and Lu Hua heard this, their expressions changed. This is too much. Even though Lu Hua was cultured and refined, she was a little angry now. Kang Shinmu, don't worry. Since we're both students of teacher Chu Yueqiang, I'll help you vent your anger. Qin Fengyu was a bit gossipy. Let's accept this mission and go to Qingcang Tianlong Court to cause trouble. But I'm very curious. Brother Jiang, what did they frame you for? Nothing much. Kang Shinmu shook his head and briefly explained the matter. As a result, Qin Fengyu couldn't help but cover her mouth and laugh. Molesting the disciples of Qingcang Tianlong Court? They really came up with this idea. Amazing, amazing. But Brother Jiang, you're really lucky that you didn't reveal your East Emperor seal. Otherwise, I don't know if they would have killed you. Lu Hua also nodded. Yes, I'm too lucky. I really don't want to wait a moment longer. Let's go to Qingcang Tianlong Court first and call those bastards out. Once they became an official student of Donghuang Yangwu College, they would have a teacher's mark on their body. No matter where they were, Chu Yueqiang would be able to accurately know their location. Even if the old monsters of Qingcang Tianlong Court made a move, they wouldn't dare to do anything unless they wanted the entire Qingcang Dragon Kingdom to be destroyed. Once anyone dared to make a move on a student of Donghuang Yangwu College, they would die without a doubt. Because every student of Donghuang Yangwu College was a proud son of heaven. Geniuses with such talent would not dare to mess around outside and use their identity to bully other dragon warriors. Therefore, if something happened to a student of Donghuang Yangwu College, the fault would mostly lie with the other party. Even if the other party's Dragon Emperor Kingdom was turned upside down, so what? Let's go to the East Emperor Array. Qin Fengyu and Lu Hua brought Kang Shinmu to a place within Donghuang Yangwu College. The East Emperor Array was a teleportation dragon array within Donghuang Yangwu College. This was what Kang Shinmu wanted. As long as he had this thing, he would be able to return to the sealed dragon abyss of the Yen Dragon Emperor Kingdom during his Nirvana Tribulation. He could deceive others. Once the Eastern Imperial Formation is used, it will be able to teleport you to the place you want to go, and leave behind a teleportation formation that can be used to return. This teleportation formation can only be used by students of the Eastern Imperial Dragon Martial Academy. To activate the East Emperor Array, a certain amount of mission points are required. Let's go, little brother Jiang. Senior sister will pay for the mission points for you first. When you return from the mission and receive the mission points, you can return the points. Qin Fengyu and Lu Hua brought Kang Shinmu over while explaining to him. Thank you both. How many points does the East Emperor Array cost for one teleportation? Kang Shinmu asked curiously. Based on the distance you teleported, we won't need to spend too much on our trip to the Azure Dragon Kingdom. The girl, Qin Fengyu, chattered. In that case, it will take a long time for me to teleport back to the Yen Dragon Emperor Kingdom. With this thought in mind, Jiang Shenwu decided to accept more experience missions in the future to earn experience points. Moreover, the college's handbook said that if one accumulated enough experience points, they could exchange for some origin dragon martial skills. This made Kang Shenmu look forward to it. Soon, they arrived at a place with abundant heaven and earth spiritual qi. When they arrived, Kang Shenmu felt a mysterious space-time force enveloping him. The East Emperor Array was right in front of them. The Eastern Emperor Formation was a spherical formation that was surrounded by mysterious space-time flowing lights. It looked extremely mysterious. The East Emperor Array was located at the four corners of Donghuang Yangwu College. Due to the small number of students in Donghuang Yangwu College, this place was deserted. Someone would only come here once in a while, and there was no one guarding it. In any case, the students of Donghuang Yangwu College knew how to activate the East Emperor Array. Let's go. Both of them brought Kang Shenmu and activated the East Emperor Array with an unhappy mood. Those bastards from Tianlong Court actually dared to harm the students of Donghuang Yangwu College. Jane was simply courting death. Chapter 4166. Azure Dragon Country. Kang Shenmu, Qin Fengyu, and Lu Hua came to this barren mountain and slightly identified the direction. I'm more familiar with Azure Dragon Country. Follow me. Senior brother Lu Hua's face was indifferent, but his eyes revealed a hint of anger. Obviously, he was very unhappy with Azure Sky Dragon Court's actions. Qin Fengyu and Kang Shenmu followed together. The scenery in the Azure Dragon Country was quite good. After walking out of the wilderness, they arrived at a large lake. The lake was sparkling, and the water seemed to touch the sky. A light breeze caressed their faces, making them feel refreshed. Kang Shenmu had an inexplicable feeling of relaxation in his heart. It seemed that he had been busy cultivating and didn't pay much attention to the surrounding environment. Looking at the big lake in front of him, he thought that if he could leisurely stay here, it would be quite comfortable. Of course, now was not the time for him to stop moving forward. Qingcang Tianlong Court, after crossing this big lake, it wasn't far. Regarding finding those brats and dragging them out, Lu Hua and Qin Fengyu were even more anxious than Kang Shenmu. Bringing him with the fastest speed, they transformed into a dragon and flew away. What surprised Kang Shenmu was that these two senior brothers and sisters actually had the wind attribute divine dragon blood essence. They crossed the sky at an extremely fast speed. Not long after, the mountain range where Azure Sky Dragon Court was located appeared in front of them. This time, Kang Shenmu was just a spectator. He knew that Lu Hua and Qin Fengyu would help him settle everything and help him vent his anger. In Donghuang Yangwu College, none of the students would have any thoughts of framing others. For them, framing others was useless. The most important thing was to rise up themselves. After all, each of them was the world's most talented proud son of heaven. They were too lazy to play any tricks. So now, Kang Shenmu, Lu Hua, and Qin Fengyu were very relieved. The three of them transformed into dragons and flew above the Sky Dragon Court. The aura belonging to the dragon warrior erupted. Coupled with the aura of their mentor Chu Yueqiang, it instantly enveloped the entire Sky Dragon Court. On dozens of mountain peaks, the dragon martial artists who were cultivating and sparring were all inexplicably shocked. Anyone could see that the ones who arrived above Tianlong Court were three students from Donghuang Yangwu College. Donghuang Yangwu College was the most terrifying force in this region. No one dared to disrespect them. Thus, when they flew over, everyone was shocked and a little worried. Looking at their aggressive appearance, could it be that they are here to cause trouble for Tianlong Court? The Azure Sky Dragon Court was the highest academy in the Azure Dragon Country. However, even the Azure Dragon Kingdom was nothing compared to Donghuang Yangwu College. In the surroundings of Donghuang Yangwu College, there were hundreds and thousands of Dragon Emperor countries. These countries had to surrender to Donghuang Yangwu College. Immediately, a few dragon warriors transformed into divine dragons and came forward to welcome them. They were the elders of Tianlong Court. Their cultivation base was extremely profound, and they were all at the same level as the Dragon Emperor. For these elders, the cultivation base of Kang Shinmu and the other two was nothing. After all, they were too young. However, they didn't dare to show the slightest disrespect to Kang Shinmu and the other two. May I ask what the three distinguished guests have come here for? The few old men transformed into their human forms and asked Lu Hua respectfully, who was at the front. You have a female disciple named Yang Yuewu here, right? Call her out. Lu Hua's face was cold as he said indifferently. At this time, Kang Shinmu only needed to watch from the side. After hearing Lu Hua's words, the few elders looked at each other and immediately looked at each other in dismay. Yang Yuewu. These old men were the higher-ups of Qingcang Tianlong Court. They were not particularly familiar with the name Yang Yuewu. Distinguished guests, please wait a moment. We will send someone to investigate. If there is really such a person, let her come here immediately. The leading elder was the dean of Tianlong Court. He frowned slightly. May I ask the distinguished guests, why are you looking for Yang Yuewu? Half a year ago, my junior brother went to your Tianlong Court as a guest. In the end, he was wrongly accused of molesting Yang Yuewu and was imprisoned in the Sin Guarding Tower for half a year. Lu Hua coldly snorted, I want to see which woman dares to frame my junior brother. As soon as he said this, the faces of the elders immediately changed. Framing a disciple of Donghuang Yangwu College and imprisoning a disciple of Donghuang Yangwu College for half a year? This kind of thing, if it was really done, it would lead to the destruction of a country. How could their Qingcang Tian Dragon Court withstand such pressure? Perhaps as long as the big shots of Donghuang Yangwu College give the order, their Tianlong Court would be disbanded, ending in a miserable state. Immediately, the leading elder said in a deep voice, distinguished guests must be joking. How would we dare to frame and imprison a student of Donghuang Yangwu College? Could it be that we remembered wrongly? They felt that it was unbelievable. The students of Donghuang Yangwu College must have a mark on their body. No matter who it was, no one dared to provoke them. No matter who it was in Tianlong Court, it was impossible for them to do such a thing, right? Half a year ago, my junior brother had yet to come to Donghuang Yangwu College and join as a student. Lu Hua coldly said, he just asked for directions from your Tianlong Court's disciple, and the result was that he was led here and framed. Do you think my junior brother would remember wrongly? This. The few old men were extremely shocked. They really didn't know that such a thing would happen. From the looks of it now, the situation was very bad. In case of an investigation, even the entire Tianlong Court wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. Just as these elders were thinking whether to secretly kill Yang Yuewu or not, Lu Hua took the initiative and said, you can rest assured. Every injustice has its perpetrator, and every debt has its debtor. We won't act recklessly. As long as you hand over the perpetrator, we won't make things difficult for you. All right. The old men looked at each other and immediately nodded. They knew that as long as the person involved was willing to give up the investigation and only deal with the culprits, their Tianlong Court would be fine. Therefore, they quickly sent someone to find Yang Yuewu. Finally, after an incense worth of time, a girl in enchanting clothes was brought up. It was the girl who ran into Kang Shinmu's room in the middle of the night when he was a guest in Tianlong Court, Yang Yuewu. She was directly brought up. Her pretty face was a little panicked, not knowing who she had provoked. Seeing Yang Yuewu again, under such circumstances, Kang Shinmu coldly snorted after glancing at her. It was this girl who accused him of doing something immoral to her. Chapter 4167. Junior brother, is it her? At this time, Lu Hua turned around and asked Kang Shinmu softly. At this moment, they finally returned to their human forms. At this time, Yang Yuewu, who was a little flustered, finally saw Kang Shinmu's appearance. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Isn't this the kid that she framed and imprisoned in the sin-guarding tower for half a year? How did he suddenly become a disciple of Donghuang Yangwu College? This made her mind go blank. When Jing Yifeng asked her to cooperate and frame this kid, she never thought it would be like this. If she knew Kang Shinmu's identity, she wouldn't have dared to frame Kang Shinmu even if she had 10,000 lives. It's her. Kang Shinmu said faintly. His tone was cold, causing Yang Yuewu's delicate body to tremble. She quickly said, Senior, that matter has nothing to do with me. I was completely instructed by someone. I never thought of harming you. She watched as Donghuang Yangwu College's Kang Shinmu returned. She didn't even have the slightest hope. She knew that she must beg for forgiveness and push the blame to others. Is that so? Kang Shinmu glanced at her. Tell me the names of the people who instructed you. Bai Lianyu, Jing Yifeng. Yang Yuewu gritted her teeth and said, in the past, they were the ones who forced me. Seniors, you must seek justice for me. When these two names came out, the expressions of the few old men from Qingcang Sky Dragon Court changed slightly. They weren't familiar with Yang Yuewu. However, they were very concerned about Bai Lianyu and Jing Yifeng. These two were the geniuses of Qingcang Sky Dragon Court. Their talents were among the top in the entire Qingcang Sky Dragon Court. The two of them were actually involved in this matter. It was simply, but now, these few old men didn't dare to cover up for Bai Lianyu and Jing Yifeng. Bring Bai Lianyu and Jing Yifeng here. The old man snorted coldly and angrily ordered. He truly did not expect that such a thing would happen today. He was very dissatisfied with Bai Lianyu and Jing Yifeng. They were all thinking that since they had offended him, they actually let him go and let him become a student of Donghuang Yangwu College to take revenge. They were simply idiots. Unfortunately, they didn't even think about who was the one who harmed the other first. Lu Hua laughed mockingly at the sight of the old men's expressions. Naturally, he knew what they were thinking. If the upper beam isn't straight, the lower beam will be crooked. The saying of the ancients is not without reason. Lu Hua said faintly and did not specify anything. However, when the old men heard this, their faces all turned red. For a moment, they did not know what to say. That was indeed how they taught their disciples. Once they offended someone, they should kill them and not give them a chance to live. As for reasoning, it was of no importance to them. Whoever had the bigger fist would be the one in the right. They did not refute Lu Hua's words and pretended not to hear anything. Very soon, Bai Lianyu and Jing Yifeng were brought over. When they saw Kang Shinmu and Yang Yuewu, their faces instantly turned pale. Half a year ago, before Kang Shinmu had become a student of Donghuang Yangwu College, the expressions of these two men and Yang Yuewu had been extremely arrogant. At that time, Bai Lianyu had pretended to plead for leniency for Kang Shinmu. However, Kang Shinmu naturally knew that Bai Lianyu had been the mastermind behind all of this. Jing Yifeng and Yang Yuewu were merely people who had framed him on the surface. I haven't seen you for half a year. Why do you look so pale? Do you need to take some qi replenishing elixirs? Jiang Shenwu glanced at them. Seeing their pale faces, he snorted coldly. Jing Yifeng's expression changed drastically. He had never expected that the person he had offended in the past would become a student of Donghuang Yangwu College. He quickly said, Junior Jing Yifeng greets Senior. May I know what instructions Senior has for me? Have you forgotten what happened half a year ago? Lu Hua snorted coldly and glanced at him. Half a year ago. Oh yes, half a year ago. At that time, junior sister Yang Yuewu said that someone had molested her, so I followed the rules and brought the distinguished guest to the law enforcement hall. Jing Yifeng quickly said, all of this has nothing to do with me. I was just doing my job impartially, bullshit. Yang Yuewu immediately shouted and glared at Jing Yifeng. Didn't you ask me to say that? You asked me to insist that he had molested me so that you could punish him. And you, Bai Lianyu, you were the mastermind behind all of this. You even pretended to be a good person in the law enforcement hall. There's no one more disgusting than you in this world. When she saw that Jing Yifeng was trying to push all the blame onto her, she was naturally unhappy. This time, she had directly exposed both Jing Yifeng and Bai Lianyu. Bai Lianyu, is this true? Kang Xinmu looked at that fellow indifferently. Absolutely not. Bai Lianyu's face was pale, but he was still struggling at death's door. He forced a smile at Kang Xinmu. Little brother Jiang, Yang Yuewu is slandering me. We've only met by chance. How could I do such a despicable thing to slander you? I'm also very curious about this. Lu Hua chuckled. Why exactly? Maybe you're too despicable. Bai Lianyu's face instantly darkened. However, he did not dare to say anything in front of Lu Hua. He could only say to Kang Xinmu, little brother Jiang. At that time, the law enforcement hall said that they would lock you up for a year. Didn't I speak up for you and reduce it to half a year? He was hoping that his pretense had worked. However, Kang Xinmu had already seen through his character. Yang Yuewu, do you dare to swear that they were the ones who ordered you to do this? The few old men had solemn expressions. It was obvious that they wanted to protect the two young men and give up on Yang Yuewu. Therefore, when they said this, they put a lot of pressure on her. However, Yang Yuewu clenched her teeth and would not compromise. After all, this was the truth. She snorted with extreme displeasure. I didn't even know this distinguished guest at that time. What reason do I have to frame him? It must be Bai Lianyu's doing. As for his motive, I'm not sure. In any case, I have no reason to do this. I have no reason at all. What she said is very reasonable. Lu Hua looked at the few old men. Do you really want to protect these two brats? We wouldn't dare. The old men hurriedly said. Please investigate. No matter who is guilty, we will lock them up in the Sin Guarding Tower for 10 years. 10 years? Lu Hua chuckled. Do you think that locking them up for 10 years is enough to compensate my junior brother for half a year? The moment she said this, the old men were instantly speechless. They hurriedly said, we are willing to compensate. Chapter 4168. Looking at their anxious expressions, Lu Hua didn't rush to make a decision. He looked at Kang Xinmu, junior brother, I'll leave this matter to you. Now, it could be said that he could do whatever he wanted. Kang Xinmu knew that if he insisted on killing Bai Lianyu and Jing Yifeng, the other party could only hand them over to him. Leave the three of them to me. Kang Xinmu glanced at them and said faintly. This, yes. Hearing him say so, the elders couldn't do anything. They could see that they wanted to give compensation, but the other party didn't need their compensation at all. Speaking of which, the students of Donghuang Yangwu College couldn't have anything they wanted. Why would they need Qingsang Tian Long Court's compensation? Thus, they could only hand over Bai Lianyu, Jing Yifeng, and Yang Yuewu to Kang Xinmu. Moreover, it was under the situation where their powers were sealed. No matter how unconvinced Qingsang Tian Long Court was, facing Donghuang Yangwu College, they had no choice but to obey. After capturing the three, Lu Hua and Qin Fengyu brought Kang Xinmu and flew in the direction of the training mission. Fiery golden eyes wild lion. That was their target this time. Its strength wasn't ordinary. At least for Kang Xinmu, it was an existence that was extremely difficult to deal with. After all, he had just arrived at Donghuang Yangwu College. The time he spent cultivating was too short. As for that wild lion, Lu Hua and Qin Fengyu were still fighting to deal with it alone. Thus, Kang Xinmu didn't join in the fun. He focused on dealing with Bai Lianyu, Jing Yifeng, and Yang Yuewu. After bringing them out and leaving Qingsang Tian Long Court, the three of them became more and more flustered. They didn't know how Kang Shinmu was going to deal with them. Thus, when Kang Shinmu brought them along, they kept begging for mercy. Soon, they arrived at the location of the fiery golden eyes wild lion. "Junior brother, it's not a good idea to bring them along like this. Why don't we just kill them?" Qin Fengyu turned around, looked at Jiang Shenwu, and said with a smile. "How about this?" Lu Hua smirked and said, "Fengyu, you and I will draw lots to decide. One will deal with the fiery golden eyes wild lion and the other will be responsible for killing the three." "Sure, no problem." Qin Fengyu smiled slyly and nodded in agreement. Seeing them like this, Jiang Shenwu was a little surprised. He didn't expect them to make such a decision. If it was up to Jiang Shenwu, he would definitely kill the three of them. However, how to kill them was a problem. Who would have thought that senior brother and senior sister would decide for him? Senior brother and senior sister decided for him. Qin Fengyu smiled slyly and transformed into a dragon, flying towards the fiery golden eyes wild lion. As for Lu Hua, he seemed to have lost the game of rock, paper, scissors, so he could only turn around and glare at Bai Lianyu and the others. Senior, have mercy. I promise I won't do it again." Bai Lianyu, Jing Yifeng, and Yang Yuewu were so scared that their pants were wet. Their faces were full of fear. How could they have imagined that they would work together to harm a disciple of Donghuang Yangwu College? If they knew, they wouldn't have dared to do it even if they were given 10,000 guts. Unfortunately, this wasn't the first time they had done such a thing. It was unknown how many dragon martial artists had been harmed by them. Therefore, it was good to deal with them. They deserved what they got. It was also a lesson to Sky Dragon Court so that people in the future wouldn't dare to bully other dragon martial artists. Let them go. If they can withstand my attack for the time it takes for a joss stick to burn, I'll spare their lives. Lu Hua turned around and smirked. This, Kang Shinmu was slightly surprised, but he quickly nodded. Among the three, Jing Yifeng was obviously the strongest. He was at the 7th level of the Nirvana realm and had the divine dragon's blood essence. Bai Lianyu and Yang Yuewu were slightly weaker. As for Lu Hua, he was only at the 5th level of the Nirvana realm. Although they all looked the same, Lu Hua was actually much younger than the three of them. He's only at the 5th level of the Nirvana realm. With the three of us working together, it's definitely possible to hold on for the time it takes for a joss stick to burn. The three of them looked at each other and saw the joy in each other's eyes. Although Lu Hua was a genius from Donghuang Yangwu College, their realms weren't weak either. Maybe they really had a chance. Okay. The three of them nodded in agreement. Immediately after, Kang Shinmu released the seal in their bodies, allowing them to recover their full strength. In the next moment, the four of them transformed into dragons in front of Kang Shinmu at the same time. The roar of the divine dragon instantly spread dozens of miles away. Originally, Bai Lianyu, Jing Yifeng, and Yang Yuewu were all eager to escape, so they erupted with their strongest power in an instant. But in the next moment, the moment the two sides' power came into contact, their expressions changed and their eyes were filled with endless despair. Source Dragon Martial Technique. Wind God Burst. Lu Hua's divine dragon blood essence had reached the level of the Dragon King. This level was even higher than Kang Shinmu and represented the results of Lu Hua's cultivation in Donghuang Yangwu College. Compared to Bai Lianyu, Jing Yifeng, and Yang Yuewu, the level of his divine dragon inheritance blood essence was 2 levels higher. The Dragon King against the Sky Dragon. This was a battle on a completely different order of magnitude. Moreover, Lu Hua also cultivated the Source Dragon martial technique and the power of the wind attribute exploded instantly. Not to mention the time it took for a joss stick to burn. Just this one move in a short period of time was something that the three of them couldn't withstand at all and were directly killed by Lu Hua on the spot. This scene caused Jiang Shenwu's expression to turn into one of shock. To be honest, he didn't expect Lu Hua's current strength to be so strong that he actually finished off the three of them in one move. According to the cultivation time, Lu Hua was probably much shorter than the three of them. Are all Donghuang Yangwu College so abnormal? Kang Xinmu couldn't help but stare with his eyes wide open. Don't forget, you're also a student of Donghuang Yangwu College now. Lu Hua was gentle and refined. He turned back into his human form and came to Kang Xinmu's side, patted his shoulder and smiled. Until then, the three divine dragon corpses fell heavily from the sky, their bodies full of cuts from the wind god's sharp blades. Those who commit too much evil will bring about their own destruction. This sentence could be considered a true portrayal of their lives. I hope you'll be good people in your next lives. Kang Xinmu glanced at them and turned to leave with Lu Hua. Lu Hua was right. From now on, he was also an elite genius of Donghuang Yangwu College. As long as he cultivated in Donghuang Yangwu College for a period of time, he would definitely be able to surpass most of the dragon martial artists in the outside world. Chapter 4169. This training mission ended very quickly for Kang Xinmu. From the beginning to the end, whether it was hunting the fiery golden eyes wild lion or dealing with Bai Lianyu and the other two, he did not have to do anything. After returning, he obtained some experience points as he wished. However, he realized that these points were not enough to teleport him to the faraway Yen Dragon Emperor Empire. I have to become stronger and complete more training. Kang Xinmu returned to his palace and began his crazy training journey. As long as he became stronger, he could go on training missions alone. That way, the experience points would come faster and he would be able to activate the teleportation function of the East Emperor Formation. And now, in Donghuang Yangwu College, the fastest way for him to become stronger was to absorb the energy of the dragon mark and quickly raise the level of his divine dragon blood essence. If he trained normally, he would need half a year to break through to the level of the Dragon King Legacy blood essence. However, he decided to use his devouring ability slightly. As long as he did not cause a commotion, there would be no problem. If he used his devouring ability at full force, it would be 10 times the usual speed and he would only need half a month to break through to the level of the blood essence. However, if he did that, he would definitely be discovered by others. It was definitely not a good thing to expose his devouring ability. Therefore, he decided to devour at 3 times the usual speed. This way, he could break through to the level of the blood essence faster and not be discovered by others. After returning, he immediately started to devour the energy of the dragon mark to raise the level of his divine dragon blood essence. With the existence of the dragon mark's energy, he did not need to find the corpses of divine dragon warriors to devour. In the meantime, when Lu Hua and Qin Fengyu went out to train, they would invite him along. However, Kang Xinmu only went out with them once, which was a basic training mission that he had to complete every month. At other times, he did not want to reap without sowing. Although Lu Hua and Qin Fengyu did not care, Kang Xinmu would not allow himself to freeload on their training. Fortunately, he devoured the dragon mark at 3 times the usual speed and did not attract the attention of others. Sometimes, if there were people nearby, he would temporarily stop devouring the dragon mark. This kind of energy was almost inexhaustible in Donghuang Yangwu College. However, in the Alcade district where he was now, the concentration of dragon mark energy was not high. If he could go to a deeper level, his divine dragon blood essence would increase even faster. Of course, Kang Xinmu relied on his devouring ability to utilize the dragon mark's energy 5 times that of ordinary dragon warriors. To him, Donghuang Yangwu College was a place blessed by the heavens. It was the 2nd month after he came to Donghuang Yangwu College. Dragon King's blood essence, breakthrough. Finally, after absorbing enough energy from the dragon mark, the divine dragon inheritance blood essence in his body suddenly underwent a transformation. From the original divine dragon level, it became boiling, and then the energy from the dragon mark was completely integrated into it. The inheritance blood essence of the Dragon King level, coupled with his devouring ability, had already made his combat power far surpass the dragon warriors of the same realm. If it was a dragon warrior of the heavenly dragon blood essence level, Kang Shinmu could basically deal with the 6th or even the 7th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. In other words, it was equivalent to the level of Jing Yifeng and Bai Lianyu. It must be known that those few dragon warriors were the geniuses of the Sky Dragon Court. There were only a few in the entire Sky Dragon country, and they had been cultivating for a much longer time than Kang Shinmu. But if it was the inheritance blood essence of the Dragon King level, Kang Shinmu thought about it. When he saw Lu Hua fight that day, he still shook his head. The current him was still quite a distance away from Lu Hua. After all, the other party also cultivated the Origin Dragon Martial Technique, which was also the inheritance blood essence of the Dragon King level. If his cultivation level increased by another 2 levels and reached the 3rd level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, he would be able to compete with Lu Hua. After all, his devouring power was the most magical power in the world. With the help of the devouring power, it was too difficult for an opponent of the same level to defeat him. In fact, Kang Shinmu could easily defeat an opponent of a higher level. It was just that he would have to endure more intense pain. After all, there was only one secret to defeating his opponent. As long as he did not die, he would have to devour his opponent's power even if he was seriously injured. If it was any other dragon warrior, they might not be willing to accept this kind of fighting method. Unfortunately, for Kang Shinmu, his fighting method had to be like this in order to be able to compete with a dragon warrior who was stronger than him. With my current combat strength, I can finally accept training missions alone. Kang Shinmu heaved a sigh of relief. During this period of time, he focused on devouring the dragon mark's energy and did not pay attention to his cultivation level. Therefore, he was still quite a distance away from the 2nd level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. However, since he was going to undergo the Nirvana Tribulation, it would be best if he returned to the sealed dragon abyss of the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. During this period of time, he could continuously accept training missions and earn experience points. From there, he could activate the Eastern Emperor formation and teleport back to the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. He went in front of the training stone tablet alone and chose some of the easier training missions. After accepting them, he headed to the Eastern Emperor formation. These easier training missions were located closer to Donghuang Yangwu College. Otherwise, he would not be able to afford to use the Eastern Emperor formation to teleport. While earning experience points, every time Kang Shinmu returned to Donghuang Yangwu College, he would slowly cultivate and continue to devour the Dragon Mark's energy. He roughly calculated that if he were to devour the Dragon Mark's energy at a normal speed, it would take him at least 10 years to break through to the Dragon Emperor's level. From the Dragon King to the Dragon Emperor, it was a qualitative change. If he were to devour at 3 times the speed, it would take more than 3 years without stopping. During this process, Kang Shinmu could not stay here all the time. It should be known that other than the level of the Divine Dragon's blood essence, the realm cultivation was also very important. If he stayed at the 1st level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, even if he reached the level of the Dragon Emperor's inherited blood essence, his combat power would not increase much. If he encountered other seniors of the Dragon Emperor's realm, he would basically be beaten up. With Kang Shinmu's current strength, if he wanted to earn enough points to teleport back to the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, it would take at least 3 months. Therefore, he was not in a hurry. While he was training, he chose suitable missions, devoured the Dragon Mark, and cultivated. During this process, he learned a lot more about the Dragon Emperor Kingdom around Donghuang Yangwu College. He also experienced many local customs and his understanding of demonic beasts also increased greatly. After all, if he did not know enough about demonic beasts, it was easy to encounter accidents during the training process. 3 months later, he had finally accumulated enough points. I can go back to the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. Moreover, the 2nd Nirvana Tribulation seems to be coming soon. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.